The movement of the mountains on the other side of the river transformed into a purgatory in the blink of an eye. The movement of the mountains on the other side of the river transformed into a purgatory in the blink of an eye. Other than the Golden Spider tribe, the Peacock race and the Sky Serpent clan had also suffered heavy casualties. With the exception of 1 in 100, half of the other demon races had been killed by Long Fei. The Great Tao was damaged, but it was insufficient to repair it. Although Long Fei thirsted for experience, he still held back. As for Li Yuanba, Li Wuxin, and the others, they had already saved Liu Luoxi and the others long before he had acted. When all the attacks ended, Li Yuanba and the rest had already reached Long Fei's side. Boss. Once all the turbulence disappeared, Li Yuanba was the first to return to Long Fei's side. Soon after, Li Yuanba looked at Aoya. Sister-in-law, this is. You have already achieved a breakthrough? Li Yuanba was shocked. Because in this demon clan, he could also feel some kind of mysterious force pulling at him. At this moment, seeing that Oya had broken through, he was even more sure of his guess. Yes, according to the cultivation of this world, I am already a sun god. If it is in the divine space, ancient world should already be considered half a step away from being a throne. Oya said. He had a calm expression and a calm expression. Long Fei's heart was also in shock. He never thought that becoming a young god in the young god world was already half a step into being. Moreover, this was the power of direct transmission. So it was only half a step. Without his help, he might have already been respected. But even so, Long Fei was satisfied. It had to be known that Oya was just one of them. He also had the 7 King Kongs. Now, he was certain. The thoughts of the young god of the 8 great demon kings just so happened to match those of the 8 King Kongs Aoya against the divine light of the peacock. Li Yuanba against the White Ape King's giant spirit aura battle. Black Knife against Dark Heaven Dark Art. Celestial to Linghu King. Each type of power corresponds to the other. This also meant that every single 8 King Kong could become an existence at the Sun God realm. However, the most important thing right now was to find them as soon as possible. Black Knife Uncle and the rest hadn't received any news yet, and this was also a sore heart on Long Fei's part. Yuan Ba, this is the giant spirit astral battle technique and the White Ape King's Sun God's will. After refining it, your fighting strength should increase further. Tian Fei, this is the Silver Shark King's Young God's will. It can allow your body's power to increase by another step. Heavenly Spirit. Long Fei distributed them one by one. He divided the power of the Sun God's will that he had released just now. If the power of this divine sense was refined, then the young god would be at its limit. Heh, don't worry, boss, it definitely won't be a problem. If we reach sister-in-law's level of cultivation, then when we return to ancient world, we would be able to do whatever we want. We 8 will be your vanguard. What Emperor Xian or whatever Lord of Chaos, they're all trash. Lin Yusheng said mysteriously. As he spoke, he took out his power and began training. At this time, Liu Luoxi also walked over, hugged Long Fei right away and started crying bitterly. What's wrong? Long Fei's heart sank, and a bad premonition sprouted in his heart. Long Fei, I'm sorry. I didn't protect Unrivaled. Liu Luoxi's face was filled with pain and self-blame, as if he had failed to fulfill his duty as a mother. Could Unrivaled be with you guys? Long Fei was startled. Doubtful. From the moment they met Master Bai Tu, Long Fei had been wondering how they could possibly be caught. It was just because he was busy saving Liu Luoxi and the others that he did not ask. Only now that Liu Luoxi had spoken did Long Fei react. Boss. Li Yuanba raised his eyebrows and looked like he wanted to say something, but he held back and did not say a word. This way, Long Fei was even more shocked. Speak, what happened? Long Fei said in a serious tone. Boss, actually, this matter should be related to you. Apart from you, we were together that day. But because we asked about you here and there, we attracted a group of uninvited guests. Lin Yusheng said as he looked at Long Fei with a face full of smiles, then at Yu Ru and the others. Get to the point. The more Long Fei heard, the more he was confused. After he came here to find them. How could he be related to the people of this world? Suddenly, a thought struck Long Fei. Asked weakly, the person who's looking for you shouldn't be someone from the Central Holy Court, right? As Long Fei's words fell, he instantly felt 3 pairs of unfriendly eyes staring at him. Especially Liu Luoshi, who was a little bit reprimanded. Thump. Long Fei's heart thumped, and he couldn't help but think, fuck, what did this mission doppelganger do in the young god realm? Long Fei was extremely speechless. Who would have thought that so many things were involved? Oh shit. Boss, do you mean to say that you were the one who peeked at people, bathed, and talked back to them? Awesome boss, you've only been in this world for a few days and you already hooked up with a princess of the Holy Court. Awesome, amazing, willing to admit defeat. The Sky Spirit was eager for the world to be in chaos as he spoke with a flattering expression. Instantly, Long Fei felt an urge to leave the other party's side. Soon after, Long Fei began to explain. Actually, the Long Fei that they think he is only one of my clones. Long Fei explained. After some painstaking efforts, he finally allowed them to calm down. And Long Fei had finally found out that so many things had happened after they had arrived in the young god realm. A pair of palms swept the maidservants away. A single figure falling into the darkness. The Ahat black knife and the rest were detained by the central palace. One after another, Long Fei sorted them out. He was infuriated. But at the same time, he was also extremely aggrieved in his heart. He had never thought that an avatar could bring him so many moths. However, since things are already like this, Long Fei has no other choice. Wife, go and guard them. We'll temporarily settle down on Peacock Mountain. I'll go look for the whereabouts of the little guy and the chicks first. After they succeed, we'll meet up at the central courtyard. Long Fei said. He had the flower fairy. In the divine space, this kind of power could not be used in the martial grounds, but here, it was definitely a weapon used to cheat. Aoya nodded. Don't worry. With me here, no one will be able to harm them. Long Fei laughed and leaped into the sky. There was no time to lose. This little guy was his life. Any potential danger, Long Fei wished to exterminate in his hands. Since that mysterious figure had cast the little fellow into the boundless darkness, it must have been all part of his plan. The little guy was safe until he got what the other party wanted. As for Long Fei, he had to find the little guy within this period of time. No matter who it is, if your father's son is missing a single hair, your father will make your entire clan die with him. Long Fei secretly swore in his heart. Then, he directly hooked up with Little Flower in the system. Little Flower, sense around and see if you can find out where the little guy's aura is. In the blink of an eye, 10,000 kilometers had passed. In the blink of an eye, 10,000 kilometers had passed. Long Fei did not seem to be exhausted, and continued to change his position. If it wasn't for the fact that his physical body was incomparably strong, he probably wouldn't have been able to withstand it for a long time. No, not yet. Bloody lines had already appeared in Long Fei's eyes, and his entire person became incomparably manic. In such a short period of time, Long Fei had already traversed millions of kilometers in the Yang God realm. However, he didn't get anything. Flower Fairy's spirit energy had also been exhausted. Fuck, where is he? Long Fei punched the air. Rumble. The world shook, and an incomparably savage power nearly caused the space around them to shatter. Why not? Could it have evaporated into thin air? Long Fei was anxious. The more time wasted, the more danger the little guy would face. He couldn't afford to delay it and didn't want to waste it. But now, it was simply a headless fly without any clues. He didn't even know who or where he was. Master, don't be like this. Wait for me to rest, we'll go search. Although the entire young god realm is large, we can still finish searching it in less than 2 days. I refuse to believe that after searching the entire young god realm, I wouldn't be able to find the whereabouts of Little Master. The Flower Fairy said. His voice was incomparably weak. But when he saw Long Fei's anxious and emotional expression, he could not help but ask. Long Fei did not reply, but was suddenly shocked in his heart. A terrifying thought appeared in Long Fei's mind. Not going to the young god realm. This was the Flower Fairy's suggestion. The scope of his own search was only above the continent of the sun god world. But what if the other party wasn't even on this piece of land? What if it was at the peak of the firmament, or at the bottom of the 9 springs? Instantly, Long Fei became excited in his heart. It's impossible in the sky. Outside of the world of the sun god, there's an attack of terror. At this time, besides Hong Yi, even the sun god is hiding, so it's simply impossible for him to appear outside the world of the sun god. Then the only possibility is in the underworld. Long Fei's eyes flashed. Little flower, with your perception, can you penetrate the ground and dig deeper into the earth? Long Fei asked. Master, I am a flower fairy. If there were plants under the ground, I would naturally be able to sense them. However, Flower Fairy did not finish. But Long Fei already knew the answer. He secretly felt that he was in desperate need of medical attention. All right then. Since that's the case, you take a good rest first. I'll think of a way, Long Fei said. It was also at this moment that Long Fei's gaze suddenly fell upon the god's pavilion. Damn, how could I have forgotten about this? Out of the 999 masters of the plane, one of them has to be proficient in power of nether. This time, I don't believe it. I can't do it. Joy appeared in Long Fei's eyes, and he did not speak directly. God's pavilion, has the Lord of the Realm been reborn? Long Fei asked. Master, you have finally opened God's pavilion. For some reason, an extremely special power was wreaking havoc in your body. It scared me so much that I didn't even dare to reveal my consciousness. So, I obediently hid. As for the rebirth of the planar lord, of course we've settled it. Not only that, the undead lord and the great sky sovereign who have also been settled, God's pavilion said excitedly, as if he was taking credit for something extremely urgent. However, right now, Long Fei's heart was tied down with something, and he simply could not be bothered to say another word. Summon them all, Long Fei said. God's pavilion was a little disappointed, but he didn't dare to disobey Long Fei's orders. Su su su. In an instant, as if a heavenly soldier suddenly descended, waves after waves of powerful qi appeared in front of Long Fei. An army of super paragons. For the cultivation base of the sun god world, they were all worldly immortals. Moreover, it was at least a super powerhouse who had experienced 4 tribulations and above. This was especially true for the leaders of the group, the Devil Origin Master and the others. They had already broken through the void and were extremely skilled experts who were second in speed to the Thunder Tribulation. Even if it wasn't a sun god, it wasn't too far off. Greetings, Master. Over 1,000 super experts kneeled in front of Long Fei. Long Fei stood with his hands behind his back, his heart surging with emotions. Ha ha ha, this kind of power, even if it's the central sacred court, they would still have to obediently lower their heads at the sight of it, right? Long she thought in his heart. At the same time, a crisp sound suddenly rang out. Ding! Congratulations player for completing the quest of saving the lord of this plane. Mission rating, SS task reward, experience, 100 million points, special reward from the system for 1 attempt. Right now, the lord of the planar was completely reborn. Naturally, the system quest could be considered as having been completed. But now, to Long Fei, 100 million experience no longer held any form of attraction. The only thing that mattered was the special reward. System, what is the reward this time? Long Fei asked. Ding, congratulations player for obtaining a lottery chance. Would you like to draw? The system responded. Long Fei's heart sank. Lottery draw. Although it's a gamble, a bicycle can make a big motorcycle. However, the stakes were too high. Furthermore, after knowing that there was some sort of special existence behind the system, Long Fei started to feel conflicted about the lottery again. System, what will appear in the lottery this time? Long Fei asked tentatively. However, there was no response from the system. It continued to move the notification mechanically. May I ask if you would like to start the lottery? Long Fei clenched his teeth, his eyes turned and cursed at the system. However, he still said, activate. Ding. Player starting lotter. The lottery wheel starts. Whiz. Instantly, the light in front of Long Fei flashed, and a brand new lottery page appeared. And the thing that had appeared above made Long Fei's heart fall to the bottom in an instant. Greenwood fruit, spirit-burying flower, regeneration grass, sky-eye pearl, immortal reverse water. He had never even heard of it. Of course, there were also areas on the turntable for the lottery. These items were all in the ordinary area, the advanced area, and the great treasures area. The advanced regions were also filled with a myriad of items. Some were divine blades, some were dragon breath techniques, and some were not of much use. Only the heavy treasure district gave Long Fei expectation. Rose sword, Sang-Mang spear, and skylight armor. They were all supreme divine weapons within the world of the sun god. There was even a mysterious area this time. Mystic area is the area where the treasure is located, supposed to be so powerful. Long Fei was instantly excited in his heart. Damn it. When it comes to luck, I don't believe that you'll give me nothing. Long Fei steeled his heart and immediately chose to start. Hualala. The wheel started to spin with a speed so fast that even Long Fei was unable to catch a glimpse of it. Needless to say, he was trying to guess what he would get. Long Fei's eyes remained unmoving, staring straight at the lottery turntable. 1 breath of time. 2 breaths of time. 3 breaths of time. Finally, the spinning wheel slowed down and the needle began to slow down. You can either directly thank Lousy for participating. Either give me a great treasure and leave mysteriously. Long Fei thought to himself as his eyes flashed with determination. And at this moment, the spin on the wheel finally stopped. Ding. Long Fei was shocked. Long Fei was shocked. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Could it be that being handsome can also increase one's luck? Long Fei said to himself. The result of this lottery exceeded Long Fei's expectations. He was destined to enter the ordinary quadrant, but at the same time, he'd missed the opportunity to enter the great treasure quadrant. Because, this time, Long Fei had drawn the only mysterious area on the spinning wheel. There was only one. Furthermore, he had been selected by Long Fei. Although he did not know what was inside, Long Fei was extremely excited. Ha ha ha, F***ck, your father's luck really exploded. Even the precious tree sect is so powerful. Aren't the items from the mysterious area still in the air? Long Fei was already impatient. A passage from Earth flashed past his mind, and that brother Shan, who was always in great health care, finally had a heaven-defying existence who had waited for him, 298. Instantly, Long Fei shuddered. Mother***, it's not that you aren't outstanding, it's just that your luck is a bit heaven-defying. Ha ha ha. Come, system, use your heaven-defying treasure to smash Lousy. Long Fei said. With a move of his hands, he retrieved the mysterious treasure. Ding. Congratulations player for drawing a mysterious item. Ding. The item is too powerful. The current world cannot bear it. Please open it at the 9 springs. A system prompt appeared. Long Fei was startled, and instantly stunned. He was filled with anticipation. However, he never would have thought that he would actually see the true face of 298 in an instant. His heart instantly turned cold. System, your sister, give me a lottery that I can't use in the lottery. Long Fei could no longer hold it in and shouted. Right now, he was looking forward to the appearance of a special force that could help him find news of Little Unrivaled. Regarding the 9 springs, he had already guessed it. Originally, he had thought that if he could draw a certain amount of power and directly enter the 9 springs, it would save him a lot of trouble. But he hadn't thought that the mysterious items in his lottery would actually restrict the conditions to open it. However, the system completely disregarded Long Fei's clamor and instantly immersed itself in the silence. Helplessly, Long Fei could only exit the system space and return to his mind. The Lord of the Realm, the Undead Lord, the Sky Sovereign of Tigers and some of the powerhouses instantly lowered their heads. Endless crawling. It was as if even in the face of the arrogant Long Fei, he was still afraid. Let me ask all of you. Who has the strength that is proficient in the profound truths of the earth? It would be best if they could enter the ground. Long Fei asked. In the world of the sun god, he wasn't sure if there was a netherworld or not. There was no cycle of reincarnation, no underworld. After all, every world had its own rules. However, the only thing that could be confirmed for certain was that there must be some sort of existence that could cultivate in this world. And they were extremely powerful. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to capture the little fellow from Kong Kim's hands. Moreover, since he was drawing the lottery this time, there was something that could only be opened after the 9 springs. It was enough to prove that there must be some kind of place in this world below the 9 springs. Unfortunately, no matter how violent his strength was, it still wasn't enough. Even if the power of the fleshly body could penetrate the earth, it would still be useless if it could not find the root. Just then, S' voice fell. The entire space was boiling. Countless planar lords scrambled forward, beginning to show off their power. My lord, I am the lord of a great place. I can move a mountain, fill a sea, or move rocks. My lord, I am the lord of the soul plane. I can enter the netherworld and roam the yellow springs. Master, I'm the master of the ghost hell region. I'm even more powerful than soul cultivators. The leaders of the planes all jumped out, their faces and necks red. Because now, they all knew that this was a sensitive time. Whoever performed well would obtain a chance to soar into the heavens. Aunt Mai, soaring sky and demon source are the best proof. One step up to the sky and you have obtained a powerful top. If they were able to perform better this time, then perhaps there would be a chance for them to land on him. But at this time, Undead Lord stepped forward. My lord, let me do it. I used to be young and arrogant, and I didn't know when to stop. The sparrow didn't know your ambition to fly in the sky. Only after seeing your great strength did it completely give up on the dark. This time, let me prove my determination. Undead Lord said with sincerity. He had the look of someone who would change the course of events. If you let me die, then I won't live anymore. This caused Long Fei to feel indescribably comfortable in his heart. When he had lost the Undead Lord, he had used all of his trump cards. But of course, Long Fei did not doubt Undead Lord's loyalty at all. With God's pavilion here, it would definitely be 100% loyal. Your methods are not bad, but, if I enter the underworld, will your strength be able to accomplish it? Long Fei asked. Master, you don't understand. The reason I called myself immortal was because I stole the immortal spring on the immortal mountain from the ancient world, when I went deep into the netherworld. Therefore, I have the experience to enter the underworld. The Undead Lord said calmly. However, at this moment, a figure walked out from the master of the plane. It was like a head being crushed. The planar lords were simply too insane. Even the most formidable figures of the planar lords had no one to fear them now. When Long Fei saw this figure, he was also momentarily stunned. His head rumbled. Damn, I almost forgot about this existence. With this guy here, where wouldn't I be able to go to the sun god realm? Long Fei's heart was moved. Young god of boundary. With the realm king here, who could understand the world in front of them better than him? My lord, let me do it. They are just speaking orally, so they can't do it at all. Because underneath this 9 springs, there is an ancient and great terror. Even the sun god is just trash in front of that terrifying figure. The young god of boundary said calmly, its face carried a little arrogance, as though it was winning a battle between 2 chickens. Long Fei was also startled, and immediately asked, an ancient terrifying existence? Who is it? Long Fei was extremely shocked in his heart. The god of boundary could be said to be an existence that surpassed the outside world, an existence that was unrivaled between the heaven and earth. Yet now, even he was so afraid. Who exactly was that terrifying ancient existence? Instinctively, Long Fei immediately thought of Hong Yi, the bunch of old freaks on the other side of the river. Only they could cause a generation of god of boundary to be described as terrifying. The young god of boundary shook its head slightly. I don't know. Although I know the way to enter the 9 springs, it can be said that this god of boundary of mine was only promoted after a group of people joined hands to control it. What happened after that was that I was taken to an unknown place and imprisoned in the Abyss Demon Prison. Therefore, before I became a god of boundary, I didn't even have the qualifications to enter this 9 springs. As the sun god of boundary spoke, his face became incomparably gloomy. Apparently, even now, the mention of the terrifying existence in the underworld still made his heart palpitate. It was a dark world. There was no daylight. It was a dark world. There was no daylight. A blood-red moon hung high in the sky, reflecting the endless darkness. Silent and empty. What was even more terrifying was that the entire area was pitch black, yet completely empty. Not a single building. Not even a trace of life could be seen. The only difference was that there was a single river that stretched across the heavens and the earth. However, the river was blood-red. Under the blood-red glow, it merged with the blood-red moon in the sky, appearing even more eerie and terrifying. My lord, this is the underworld of the 9 springs. It is rumored that the blood moon in the sky is a star that was plucked by Patriarch Yi after he landed on the other shore. It is used to suppress the 9 springs for eternity. As for this blood river, it was created from the terrifying slaughter I just mentioned. Of course, this is also a legend. It has been too long since I last heard of it. The young god of boundary said. But at the end, even his words became somewhat disjointed, as if it was difficult to say what he wanted to say. Long Fei said with disdain. She threw him a look of disdain. Needless to say, he had already guessed. No matter how he looked at it, this sun god of boundary was just a cannon fodder thrown out. Nothing else. They were thrown out to touch the outside world. To put it bluntly, it meant that the other party truly had power and power. They had to conserve their strength. He didn't want to risk his life. Therefore, he pushed it to become the god of boundary. After that, he was sorrowfully imprisoned in the Abyss Demon Prison. So, you only know the way to enter. You don't know anything about the existence inside. Bullsh *T. Is he trying to show off so that he can fight for the glory of his lord? I think so. I was tricked by the god of boundary light earlier. All of the sovereigns said in unison. He was very dissatisfied with the young god of boundary for seizing the top, picking fruits and seizing their opportunity. However, the sun god of boundary gave a disdainful laugh. You don't know shit. Your powers can enter the netherworld. I'm not afraid of offending you. In this world, aside from me and my lord, it's impossible for even the sun god to enter this place. This is the demon sealing tombstone belonging to Matriarch Yi. Can you enter? The god of boundary of the sun god said in disdain. All of the planar lords had looks of disbelief on their faces. But at this time, Long Fei opened his mouth. The divine sun god of boundary is right, this 9 springs is not simple. If not for his power, you all wouldn't even be able to enter this place. The reason I was able to enter was because I once received a god of boundary medallion. Moreover, the strength of my physical body already surpasses the power of shattering space, so I can also enter and retreat as I wish. But you. Long Fei pointed a finger and shook it slightly. The lord of the realm fell silent. And in that instant, the sun god of boundary was even more agitated. She raised her eyebrows and sighed, looking at Long Fei with gratitude. He looked as if he was a soldier who would die for his friend. Lord, my life is yours from now on. If you want me to head east, I definitely won't head west. If you want me to keep a low profile, I definitely won't act cool. As Yang Zhen spoke, his eyes were filled with tears and excitement. Seeing this, Long Fei immediately dodged. It's more important to do things. Since you're already here, then let's split up and search. My son, there's a high chance that he's already in the 9 springs. I want you all to confirm his location as soon as possible. Remember, don't act alone. If it is really as Yang Zhen said, then there is a great terror in the underworld. You guys are no match for him. Long Fei said indifferently. After that, the planar emperor and the others began to spread out. In the blink of an eye, it spread out, covering the entire dark space. At the same time, Long Fei's figure quickly changed positions. This was because there were no obstacles in his way at all. The moment the power of the fleshly body descended upon this space, it had already begun to reform. All power leaned towards darkness. He leaned towards the environment here. It didn't affect him at all. On the contrary, in this space, Long Fei felt his strength rise explosively. Time negligence. In the blink of an eye, several hours had passed. Long Fei's figure had already reached the end. Or perhaps it was the end of the blood river. The light of the blood-red moon could no longer extend any further, as if it was interweaving with the blood river. At this point, it was already the end. At this moment, Long Fei's eyes suddenly contracted. Shua shua shua, one lord after another descended. Instantly, silence reigned. How is this possible? A single person is actually at the end of this world. Why didn't we feel anything before? What the hell is going on? All of the sovereigns were stunned. The scene in front of them was too astonishing. Their figures had long ago covered the entire 9 waters of darkness, but they did not discover anything. Unexpectedly, he saw a figure at the end of the blood river. This figure was extremely bizarre. He sat atop a tombstone. The tombstone was extremely simple. There was only a single word carved onto it, dream. Moreover, this person's aura was also incomparably strange. It was ethereal and hard to figure out. Every master of the plane, including Undead Lord, Yang Jian and the rest all turned to look at Long Fei. They were waiting for Long Fei's decision. It was also at this time that Long Fei directly summoned his god's pavilion and brought everyone inside. Because their existence would only become a burden to him. The person in front of him was simply too powerful. Just the aura itself was enough to make Long Fei's body feel endless pressure. Even though his physical body had been reconstituted, he still felt the same pain. Where is my son? Long Fei clenched his teeth and asked. At this moment, there was no longer any doubt. His own son had definitely been captured by the person in front of him. Body limit, vacuum source energy, transform at will. Very good. Unfortunately, it's not what I want. The figure atop the tombstone said indifferently. But these normal words gave rise to an even more sense of urgency in Long Fei's heart. Not bad. Very good. Previously, Long Fei had allowed him to do so, but his physical body was already unrivaled, alright? However, in the eyes of this person, it was only a word that was not bad. Old man, I don't care who you are. It didn't matter if you were an ancient sacred emperor, a divine king, or a member of the various families. Let my son go, I will turn around and leave. Otherwise, I will let you know the consequences of angering me. Long Fei said. Ha ha ha, it's been so many years, but this is the first time someone dares to talk to me like this. Do you think your current body is invincible? If that's the case, how could Hongyi just suppress me? As the man spoke, his aura shook once more. A surge of hatred, killing intent, and unwillingness mixed together, filling the dark sky. Long Fei's heart tightened, and instantly gathered all of his strength into one fist. What is it? Do you still want to fight? You can't. Even if all of your methods are combined, it's still not enough. Because all of this is just a dream I made for you. There is a grave under the 9 springs, and all living beings are in their dreams. On the other side of the heaven-seeking road, one dream, Chen Qiu is a lone soul. Let's go, for the sake of this little fellow, I won't kill you. But I will return, and no one in this world can stop me. If there comes a next time, you will die as well. As though a dream, Zhongxian woke up from a dream. As though a dream, Zhongxian woke up from a dream. Long Fei opened his eyes, which were completely red like snow. He couldn't calm his surging heart at all. What was even weirder was that his figure was at the place where he had just descended into the 9 springs. A blood crescent, a blood river. My lord, this is the underworld of the 9 springs. It is rumored that the blood moon in the sky is a star that was plucked by Patriarch Yi after he landed on the other shore. It is used to suppress the 9 springs for eternity. As for this blood river, it was created from the terrifying slaughter I just mentioned. Of course, this is also a legend. It has been too long since I last heard of it. Yang Jian said. As before, the scene was repeated. It was as if everything he had seen was just a dream. Why do I feel that this scene is so familiar? Right, it's as if I've experienced it before. Is it repeating itself now? If that's the case, then I really do feel that way. The planar lord looked at each other. However, Yang Jian's face was suddenly filled with panic. It's him. My lord, it must be that frightening venerable one. To be able to cause so many of us to unknowingly fall in love with the Tao, that's too terrifying. As Yang Jian spoke, his facial expression kept changing. Looking at the dark space, the river of blood, his pupils began to contract. Amongst everyone present, he was the one who understood this great terror the most. Thus, his performance became more obvious. At the side, Long Fei went silent. What happened just now was definitely not a dream. It's not a dream, it's a cultivation technique. Strong enough to fit the entire space? Is this AF** king threat? Long Fei clenched his fists. They hadn't even fought when they were already defeated. Just a single cultivation technique had caused them to fall in love. It might even still be within his spell right now. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes moved as he looked at the stars in the sky. An existence suppressed by Hong Yi? A tombstone with the word dream? Meng Shenji? Dream on to the grand technique? Instantly, a line was pulled out of thin air by Long Fei. Suddenly, at this moment, Yang Jian took a step forward, interrupting Long Fei's train of thoughts. My lord, what else should we do? Should we continue? He asked. Right now, Long Fei was their ruler. A single sentence was enough to make them wish they were dead. However, they also didn't dare act rashly in the face of this unknown terror. Go F** King die? If I'm not wrong, Hong Yi did not die when he fought the Taishang Meng Shenji before he broke through. Among them, this old thing is the one that is being suppressed. Now, back then he was already able to contend against Hong Yi. Now, how powerful do you think he should be? Long Fei said. A sense of powerlessness rose in his heart. Before, it was too smooth. His prejudiced awareness allowed Long Fei to have a feeling that he could be unrivaled and trample all over the young god realm. However, from the looks of it now, in the world of the sun god, after Hong Yi had transcended the other side, the so-called sun god had become different. 10,000 newcomers was not as good as one pioneer. Because Hong Yi had transcended the other shore, it was much easier for him to become a sun god in this world. Therefore, the few young gods that Long Fei had killed before did not seem to be very impressive after all. Meng Shenji? How could this person who is fighting with Patriarch Yi be still alive? My lord, this is unlikely. Yang Jian could hardly believe it. Impossible? Then go and take a look at the end of the blood river. Long Fei said snappily. He was extremely furious. I just found a way. However, it had not even begun and was already broken. Meng Shenji's existence was like an invisible mountain, directly pressing down on Long Fei's heart. However, Long Fei did not want to give up. Even though Meng Shenji was incomparably strong. But if Long Fei gave up on saving his children? Impossible. God's Pavilion. With a thought, Long Fei recalled the experts from the God's Pavilion and looked into the distance along the blood river. The heck, the tombstone is ready. Why did you still jump out to be a demon? No matter what, I will go. Even if you really jump out from the grave, I will save unrivaled. Long Fei's gaze focused and he leaped, directly floating above the boundless blood river. It was at this moment that the blood river began to stir. The river began to bubble with blood. Whiz. Roar. Suddenly, a blood dragon rose into the air and soared towards the sky from the blood river. Long Fei's footsteps paused. His eyes grew cold as he looked at the blood dragon. Scram. Long Fei coldly said one word. He didn't even make a move. Dragon? How dare he be arrogant in front of Long Fei? Non-existent. After entering the divine space, Long Fei rarely used his dragon race's power. But in his bones, he was still a dragon. Moreover, he was a supreme existence. If there was something else born from the river of blood, it might be a bit of an obstacle for Long Fei. But only dragons could not. Boom. Instantly, following the fall of the word Long Fei, the blood dragon instantly collapsed, transforming into streams of blood and flowed back into the blood river. A figure suddenly appeared above the blood river. Long Fei's pupils constricted as he looked at a black figure that was gradually approaching from the far side of the Blood River. The Blood River was extremely strange. It was as if it contained a monstrous power of destruction and devouring. As Long Fei traveled horizontally in the air, he could still feel the berserk aura. But now, there was actually someone who was able to cross the river. How could he not be shocked? Meng Shenji? Is that you? Long Fei was startled, and killing intent surfaced in his heart. Regardless of how strong he was, since he touched the little fellow, he was an enemy. Gradually, as time passed, the figure of light got closer and closer, and Long Fei's eyes became colder and colder. 3 breaths of time later, a figure appeared right below Long Fei, and slowly stopped. Why don't you come down and take a seat? Suddenly, that figure spoke with an extremely calm voice, as if he was inviting someone else through a boat full of spring water. Instantly, Long Fei's heart rumbled. It was as if his brain had short-circuited as an extremely familiar name appeared in his mind. Hong Yi. The cliff was Hong Yi. He didn't know anything else, but he did know some of the basics to the world of the sun god. What is it? You came all the way from the other shore, and fellow Daoist is so shameless. Above the Blood River, the silhouette in the boat spoke. With these words, Long Fei's guess was confirmed. Other than Hong Yi, who else would dare to come from the other side? For a moment, Long Fei's mind was filled with innumerable thoughts. After all, they had just annihilated the Resurrection Mountain, and many of them were related to Long Fei by blood. So, was Hong Yi an enemy or a friend? It's hard to be sure. Forget it, at most, I'll just take it head on. Long Fei steeled his heart and directly descended from the sky, landing on top of the small boat impartially. The Blood River roiled and surged endlessly. The Blood River roiled and surged endlessly. In the blink of an eye, waves of blood that were thousands of feet long rippled out, wanting to capsize the boat again and again. However, he had never succeeded once. The small boat steadily moved forward as if it was rooted in the river. He really is extraordinary. His cultivation base is insignificant, but his fleshly body already has the qualifications to pass the other side. Hong Yi said. Fellow Daoist, you came to praise me as someone who had spent a long time on the other side of the river. Isn't that a bit fake? Long Fei said in a serious tone. Here, he didn't dare to relax in the slightest. Ha ha ha, fellow Daoist, there is no need to be so formal. I came here to tell you something. If I want to make a move against you, I can do it on the other side of the mountain. Besides, I like your temper very much. I would rather slaughter the heavens and earth than let my woman sigh. Arrogant, overbearing. As for those people, being able to die at the hands of fellow Daoist, they must have been destined to die as well. I already knew that such a day would come when I was on the other side of the river. Hong Yi said without the slightest bit of anger. On the contrary, he showed an expression of I like you very much. Long Fei heaved a sigh of relief. At the very least, Hong Yi's appearance as a friend and not an enemy was enough. So, you came back from the other side to suppress Meng Shenji? It just so happens that your grandfather caught my son. We are all civilized people. No matter what, you are the leader of the young god realm. You can't let me, a person from far away, feel unhappy. Long Fei chuckled. This was a test. From a certain point of view, Meng Shenji was Hong Yi's grandfather. All that Long Fei knew was that it was only a superboss, and it was killed by Hong Yi in the end. However, blood was thicker than water, so who knew if there was some sort of relationship between the two of them? Fellow Daoist, there is no need to test me out. If I could kill him, why would I need to do so now? In the past, Meng Shenji had hidden the truth from the world and fled to the underworld. Using the sky-slaughtering art, I cut off a era's worth of evil qi and refined it into the 9 springs to cover my destiny. Hong Yi said. The more he spoke, the more Long Fei was shocked. The era of the epoch was a landmark product of the sun god world. Refining an entire era's worth of sins? Just how amazing was he? At the same time, the small boat began to sway violently. It was as if some existence had awoken in the Blood River. In an instant, Long Fei turned around, and saw a wave of evil energy that overflowed into the Blood River rushing towards the small boat, attacking it from all sides. It transformed into tens of thousands of ferocious beasts. Without any fear of death, he crazily stormed towards the small boat. Rumble, 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 rumble. Monstrous waves of blood gushed out as terrifying demon beastess rushed out from the waves of blood. And this time, it was even crazier than last time by several times. Hong Yi's expression didn't change, but in the depths of his eyes, there was a trace of helplessness. Fellow Daoist, how powerful is this? Hong Yi said. I can't hurt you, and I can't hurt you. It can't even hurt the ship. Long Fei said. The aura of this blood river was strange and filled with evil. At most, it was just one of the evil forces in the underworld. Both his and Hong Yi's physical bodies had long since exceeded the point where they could shatter the void. He had reached the origin of the vacuum and was able to freely switch between the two. If you are evil, then my physical body will become an existence that can devour evil, and won't even need to bother about you. Furthermore, this small boat could bring Hong Yi here from the other shore. Without a doubt, such a supreme treasure could not withstand the Blood River's attack. No need to think about it, it's impossible. As such, both Long Fei and Hong Yi had calm expressions. He completely ignored the attack of this kind of power. You're right, this kind of power can't hurt us. However, it also proves that he already knows that I've arrived here. This power is merely venting his unwillingness towards me. Hong Yi said calmly. A cold smile could be seen on his face, and his expression was one of incomparable coldness. It was as if he was just stating an extremely simple matter, and didn't care at all. But Long Fei's eyes were moving. Meng Shenji. With his own son in his hands, how could Long Fei not be moved? Where is he? Long Fei asked. Previously, if Hong Yi had not appeared, Long Fei's goal would have been the end of this blood river. However, because of Hong Yi's arrival, it was interrupted. Him? Hard to say. Not here at all, not everywhere. The thing I came to find you to tell you this time is your son. Before the world-exterminating war approaches, Meng Shenji will not take action. As for that little girl, she's also involved in the plans of an ancient power. But don't worry, when we meet again, you might be surprised. Hong Yi said. Long Fei calmed down. However, there was still doubt in his eyes. Logically speaking, Long Fei should have chosen to believe this Hong Yi who was filled with the aura of a main character. However, with regards to his own son, Long Fei was naturally more cautious. Thinking about that, Long Fei looked at Hong Yi with a serious expression. Hong Yi turned around, his expression suddenly changing. Fellow Daoist, I know that your background is not simple. If my guess is not wrong, it should be from ancient world. Hong Yi said, his eyes filled with shock. You know of the ancient world? Long Fei was startled. This time, Long Fei's heart thumped even harder. This was the first time he heard someone from the mission world mentioning his origins. Of course I know it. I once watched from the other side, and recently, a surge of power has spread across countless planes of space as it shuttled over. Then, the destination of this power will be the young god realm. Although I could be safe and sound on the other side of the river, the world of the sun god is still my world. I don't wish to see it destroyed. Hong Yi said, his eyes blooming with hope as he looked at Long Fei. Long Fei was startled, his body felt like it was being eaten by countless ants. The itch was unbearable. This gaze. 2F** king penetrating. It made Long Fei's hair stand on end. Wait, bro, I said we're not on the same line. I only care about my son. What use is it for you to tell me about the young god realm's indestructibility? You said it yourself, I am from ancient world. Thus, I really don't care about this world of the sun god. So, what do you mean by that look? What do you want? Long Fei dodged instinctively, avoiding her gaze. Hong Yi's eyes were very clear on their purpose. Before he could open his mouth, Long Fei already felt his shoulders sink. Ha ha ha, fellow Daoist. You won't be able to dodge it. Hong Yi, however, laughed heartily. At the same time, ding. Player has triggered the ultimate mission of the young god realm, exterminated Xian nationality's conspiracy, and protected the young god realm. Time of mission, 1-year mission level, SSS task reward, Blade of the God of Boundary, special reward by the system once. Mission penalty, death. Description, quest must be accepted. Current state, accepted. The system's voice disappeared, but on Long Fei's face, there were only tears. He never thought that the source of the divine Sun Plane's threat would actually be the Sun God world. Nor did he expect that Hong Yi would directly trigger the system quest with just a glance. After confirming with his eyes, he ran into the person who tried to scam him. After confirming with his eyes, he ran into the person who tried to scam him. At this moment, Long Fei's heart was filled with regret. If he had not accepted Hong Yi's invitation, this situation might not have happened. His intestines turned green with regret. At first, he thought that Hong Yi being the highest was at least a main character's glory. An existence that stood at the very peak of the world of the Sun God. If he could hook up with her. No, they were already friends. Let alone finding someone, they could just mess with whoever they wanted. Especially after he confirmed that Hong Yi was not here to cause trouble, Long Fei decided to build a good relationship with him. As long as Hong Yi was around, doing something like this wasn't a problem. But he didn't expect that he hadn't used Hong Yi yet. Hong Yi had already tricked him. Had directly triggered a mission to protect the young god realm. Suddenly, Long Fei's heart moved as he remembered that he also had a mission to protect the sect in the past. He didn't know if there would be any connection this time. However, Long Fei didn't have that many thoughts right now. Why are you so sure? I will definitely promise you that. Long Fei asked. This was the crux of the matter. Only he himself knew of the system's trigger quest. But just now, Hong Yi said he couldn't dodge. This sentence made Long Fei a little alert. Although he did not feel any malicious intent from Hong Yi, Long Fei still did not dare to slack off. Haha, don't forget, I'm someone who has transcended the boundaries of the young god realm. Since I can see the ancient world from the other shore, how could I possibly not see what you have done in the sun god realm? Long ago, your clone had already stirred up the clouds in the young god realm. Moreover, right now, he is about to become the Tao of the sun god. Furthermore, do you think that if it weren't for my help, your clone would have taken the weather so easily? Hong Yi said. A smile appeared on his face. It carried the feeling that he had succeeded in a conspiracy. Damn, so it's you. My entire life's notoriety was bestowed upon me by you. Long Fei immediately stood up, glaring at Hong Yi. But Hong Yi didn't care at all. Calm down. Since I dared to tell you, I'm sure that I know that these things don't have much of an impact on you. Moreover, after you become a young god, you will be associated with the young god world. If the young god realm is destroyed, you will also have an impact. That's why I said, you can't hide. Furthermore, there is an account to be settled between the heavens and the earth. From my calculations on the other side, I deduced that this fortuitous opportunity was related to you. Rest assured, I promise you in the name of Aizu. Your child and that little girl will be fine. Hong Yi, he said. Hearing this, Long Fei finally calmed down a little. With Hong Yi as the guarantor, the little guy and Yuri's safety basically meant that they didn't have to worry too much about it. But since you have the determination and the ability, why don't you do it yourself? Long Fei asked. In the world of the sun god, if Hong Yi were to make a move, then the 9 heavens and the 10 territories would be invincible. Above the clouds, he was the ruler. In the 9 springs, there was no one who could compare to him. Hong Yi shook his head but did not explain. However, at this moment, the blood river suddenly rippled. Violent gusts of wind erupted, causing blood to gush into the sky. In an instant, it turned into a huge wall of blood. Soon after, a tombstone slowly appeared. It was filled with resentment and hatred. It was as if he had been betrayed by the entire world. The expression in Long Fei's eyes changed as he instinctively channeled the power of his fleshly body. At the same time, he prepared various methods such as the Buddha seal. On the tombstone, there was a strange dream character that was currently flashing with cold light. It was exactly the same as what he had seen at the end of the blood river. Meng Shenji, Long Fei said in a serious tone. It was also at this time that Long Fei's voice fell. On the tombstone, the word dream descended with a loud rumble. This power contained the evil energy of heaven and earth, and was incomparably violent. Even Long Fei was startled. Boo! The small boat swayed in the air. In an instant, it was engulfed by the endless evil power as a wave of blood surged up. It was as if he wanted to melt the boat. Buddha palm. Instantly, Long Fei made his move, releasing a Buddha seal across the air. But what Long Fei didn't expect was that as soon as the Buddha seal appeared in the air, a pair of hands formed and swept towards him. Kasiache. Asterisk boom. Asterisk with a flip of the blood-red palm, the pagoda seal was suppressed. Long Fei's eyes turned cold. Just as he was about to attack again, he was stopped by Hong Yi. At the moment, you are not Meng Shenji's match. As he spoke, Hong Yi stepped out of the boat. You still haven't given up yet. Even if you swallowed the evil power of a whole era. You don't have the qualifications to kill me, Hong Yi said as he stood in mid-air. She didn't seem to care about Meng Shenji at all. Hong Yi, I'm going to swallow you. Instantly, a voice sounded from the tombstone. His voice was incomparably low and deep, like the grinding of pig iron, causing one to feel not cold. At this moment, the tombstone began to crack open. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Next, a hand covered in wrinkles and devoid of life energy appeared from the center of the tombstone. He went straight for Hong Yi. But right at this moment, Hong Yi's figure disappeared in an instant. And this pair of hands swept past, attacking Long Fei. F***CK. Strength has tricked our teammates. Hong Yi, your sister. Long Fei scolded. He immediately reacted. His physical strength had been gathered to the limit. And then, the 5 elements sword and demon ox punch, with a loud bang, struck out with the pagoda stamp, the 5 elements sword and demon punch. At this time, Long Fei no longer had the time to think so much. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In an instant, Long Fei's series of techniques exploded outwards. It caused a loud explosion. The endless waves of the blood river surged forward, crashing against the heavens and sweeping through the world. And this pair of hands that were almost withered, finally stopped its attack. Then, as if in pain, he slowly retracted it. Long Fei took a step forward. Meng Shenji, your father admits that you are very powerful. But now that Hong Yi is here, what are you being so arrogant for? Hong Yi was able to suppress you back then, and it's the same now. If you have the guts, then spare my son. You two can fight each other. Long Fei said. As for Meng Shenji, he was afraid of him. But no fear. No matter how strong Meng Shenji was, Long Fei felt that his current body still had the power to fight him. However, what he was afraid of was that his son was still in Meng Shenji's hands. Moreover, Hong Yi had done this before. Long Fei was also quite unhappy in his heart. It's obviously a grudge between the two of you, but I'm the one who's going to take action. Long Fei secretly cursed in his heart. Looking at the smiling Hong Yi, he gritted his teeth. But right at this moment, something even more surprising happened. Hong Yi's figure appeared again, exactly the same as before. Meng Shenji, you won't be able to succeed. With Long Fei here, you will definitely lose. The reason why I've crossed over is to prove your failure. There is no second possibility. Long Fei stood on top of the blood river without saying a word. Long Fei stood on top of the blood river without saying a word. He stared at Meng Shenji. However, for some reason, his heart was filled with contempt for Hong Yi. This kind of conversation, no matter how you listened to it, was a kind of flattery. It was as if he was afraid that Meng Shenji wouldn't be able to notice him, and would wholeheartedly seek revenge on Long Fei. Him. It was just a piece of trash. If the little guy had not used his life to force them, do you think he would still be alive after entering the 9 springs? Giving him his life is already a heavenly gift. Also, in this era, I will definitely jump out of the other side and walk on a new path. Hong Yi, you can't stop me. Because, you can't stop the power of the outside world. The destruction of the young god realm will be the time for me to transcend. Meng Shenji said word by word. Every time he opened his mouth to speak, the blood river expanded by a bit. The evil aura was growing crazily, its terror was boundless, and its sin was monstrous. Long Fei's eyes flashed as he looked at Meng Shenji. Trash. A life or death struggle. Every word was like a piercing pain towards Long Fei's soul. What he hated the most was someone giving him the nickname of trash. Especially now, in Meng Shenji's mouth, the reason why he could survive was because his son was forcing him to die. Under these circumstances, how could Long Fei endure it? Meng Shenji, your ancestor. I'm going to kill you today. Long Fei couldn't care less. He didn't want to hold back for even a moment. Even if what Hongyi said was true, now that Meng Shenji said his son, he too was confused. The father and son's hearts were connected. Long Fei could practically feel pain in his blood, and when he opened and closed his eyes, the only thing left was the little fellow's miserable appearance. He couldn't tolerate it. At this moment, it erupted with power. In an instant, the blood veins on Long Fei's body swelled up, and his body once again underwent a slight change. This change was something that even Long Fei himself did not know about. Before, when he had reached the end of the blood river, his body had been reconstituted once. Long Fei also never thought that his own body would be stronger. As for now, in Long Fei's heart, all he wanted to do was to destroy Meng Shenji. Kill me. Do you think you are qualified? You can't even find my real body, yet you want to kill me? Meng Shenji's business came from the tombstone. His tone was filled with contempt and disdain. They simply did not place Long Fei in their eyes. This attitude made Long Fei even more furious in his heart. If I can't find you, I'll drain this river of blood and shatter your tombstones to see if you can come out. Long Fei bellowed. The power of the 5 elements once again shot out. Shua shua shua. In that instant, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and the power of the species turned into monstrous sword demons. They shuttled through the blood river and chopped off the embodiment of endless evil. Buddha palm. Long Fei did not stop as he unleashed one pagoda seal after another from his hands. It was all for the sake of suppressing the river of blood and closing in on the tombstone. However, the blood river was limitless. Long Fei's power did not give rise to much of a storm, even though each time he attacked, the blood river would tremble, and the limitless evil chi would dissipate. However, compared to the blood river, it was simply equivalent to nothing. Ha ha ha, is this all you've got? You want to kill me too? You are simply a piece of trash. To think that this brat even said that you are some invincible person in the 9 heavens and 10 earth. Now you look like a spicy chicken. Meng Shenji was merciless as he ridiculed him. Once again, Long Fei felt a piercing pain. His pair of eyes were like stars, containing a sense of loneliness within the depths of his eyes. Weakness. A deep sense of powerlessness filled his heart. In the distance, Hongyi was silent and did not move. His expression was calm, as if everything had nothing to do with him. At the same time, Meng Shenji's voice suddenly rang out, Hongyi, is this how you said I must lose? I'm counting on this piece of trash. This seat has already won. Just you wait. If I transcend, I will slay you on the other side of the river. Meng Shenji was extremely arrogant. Hongyi remained unmoved as he turned to look at Long Fei, and said indifferently, my fellow cultivator, this person is from the other shore with just a thought. He has no form, nor attack. Just a thought. Therefore, you have to rely on yourself in this matter. This boat is for you. I'll take my leave first. As he spoke, Hongyi's figure began to disappear. Only Long Fei was left in a mess in the wind. Shameless, you pulled the grudge and ran away on your own. The level of deceit cannot be described with word. Long Fei felt helpless in his heart, and didn't have the mind to bother with this boat. His gaze was still tightly locked onto the tombstone above the blood river. It was at this point that the river of blood once again surged. Crash. Crash. The atmosphere was completely boiling, and all the evil aura was being released at this time. At this time, the tombstone in the river of blood had completely appeared. At this time, Long Fei finally noticed that this so-called tombstone looked more like a door. Nearly 3,000 meters. The power of evil constantly emanated from it. Clang! A crack appeared in the door. Suddenly, the 9 springs was covered by the evil power. It covered the entire sky and the earth as it swept over. Kid, Hongyi has already left. Let's see who can save you this time. Even if you are trash, I will still kill you today. I will absolutely not allow anyone who has the slightest possibility of affecting my plans to live. Die. Meng Shenji's voice sounded. Immediately after, a figure slowly appeared within the door. And at this moment, Long Fei's eyes lit up. Because with the appearance of this figure, it proved that Long Fei's body strength had become more useful. Moreover, this was a boss. Even the monstrous evil power was unable to suppress the boss's light. Instantly, Long Fei plucked onions from the dry land, and once again soared into the sky, his figure directly entering the endless river of blood. Invincible punch. In this instant, Long Fei's body tensed to the extreme, and every cell in his body surged with a power that could shake the heaven and earth. However, just as Long Fei was about to close in on Meng Shenji's figure, 9 fiery sparks suddenly appeared. With Meng Shenji at the center. 9 flames flame dragon. Rip him apart for me, Meng Shenji said in a cold voice. Instantly. Rumble. The 9 enormous fire dragons charged downwards, each and every one of them incomparably savage. It was as if they wanted to swallow Long Fei alive. Long Fei was not afraid. Long Fei also had some impression of the fire dragon in his heart. Even in that era, he was invincible. By now, it was possible that, even after the passage of time, it had long since surpassed the power of the sun god. But so what? Long Fei was not afraid. Ding, player body reconstruction. Ding. Reorganization completed. At that moment, 2 system notifications popped up, one after the other. There was no time to wait. Hearing this, Long Fei's gaze became firmer as he raised his head to look at the 9 fire dragons with an incomparably resolute gaze. Use the dragon to attack him? It was simply a joke. Dragon? You dare to be arrogant in front of me? Ancestral dragon body, appear. Annihilate. Long Fei's punch turned into a dragon, moving unhindered in the air. Long Fei's punch turned into a dragon, moving unhindered in the air. But then, Long Fei made his move. The 9 flame dragons floating in the air instantly stopped moving. It was difficult to move an inch. Under Long Fei's punch, it was immediately intimidated. The might of Long Fei's fist contained a dragon's might that overflowed into the heavens. As long as you are a dragon, no matter what plane you are in, it doesn't matter. They all have to be rolled up for me. As for Long Fei, he did not pause at all, and the power of one punch instantly erupted. He possessed the supreme power of the dragon race. All the dragons that wanted to attack him were useless. Therefore, as long as Long Fei willed it, an endless amount of ripping power would immediately land on the 9 flame dragons' bodies. Endless flames ignited his body. The fiery void exploded out of carelessness. The 9 flame dragons instantly burned themselves, and without even coming within 300 meters of Long Fei, they directly annihilated themselves within the void room. Come on, so what if you surpass the sun god? Meng Shenji, today I will definitely kill you, was assured in his heart that he would be able to crush her. Invincible punch, chop. Long Fei bellowed, and went straight for Meng Shenji, who was standing in front of the tombstone. And then, a pair of nearly withered hands appeared, directly deep within his body. Whoosh! The monstrous waves churned and churned, turning the world upside down. In an instant, it formed a pair of enormous black shadows in the air. Boom! A pair of hands clenched Long Fei's fist tightly. Then, he moved his palm. A feeling of sin that overflowed the heavens poured into Long Fei's body from these hands. Immediately, a power that was almost enough to corrode away exploded from Long Fei's body. It was unbearable. As the blood flowed, Long Fei could feel the power in his body being devoured. Infinite pain. Vacuum source, random conversion? Ha ha ha, if it were Hong Yi, I wouldn't dare to face him directly. But, so what if you only have the strength of your physical body? Can you convert any power in the world? Can you transform the era? This is the work of the era. I am the era, And the era is me. This seat is the power of evil, the source of all evil. Meng Shenji was extremely arrogant, standing in front of the tombstone. At this time, Long Fei was in extreme pain. The evil power of this era raged within his body. Ding, body reconstruction. Ding. The reconstruction of the body has failed. Ding, body reconstruction again. Ding, failed recombination. Again and again. The system kept prompting him. However, every failure ended in failure. So much so that Long Fei could feel that his entire body's 8 extraordinary meridians were all filled with a sharp pain. It was as if he was being bitten and devoured, as if he would be torn apart in the next moment. Haha, you think you can stop me? Long Fei, in my eyes, you have always been a spicy chicken. Meng Shenji said in pain. All of them were unsatisfied and vented on Long Fei. Long Fei was completely powerless to respond. Or perhaps, Long Fei was already looking for a way to break it. Ding. Your physical body has been invaded by a mysterious force. Great Tao of hibernation has been activated. Please escape the danger as soon as possible. At this moment, the system once again reminded him. Long Fei was shocked, a look of panic appeared in his eyes. The heck, system, don't screw up, didn't you say that you can devour evil? Why is the Great Tao dormant? Aren't you F***king playing me to death? Long Fei complained in his heart. Completely stupefied. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes moved, his gaze locked onto the mysterious prize in the lottery system. When he was in the world of the Sun God, the system told him that because the world restrictions could not be opened, the world he opened up was just below the 9 springs. Then, a light flashed across Long Fei's eyes. Damn, could the system have already calculated this long ago? Secretly thinking, Long Fei directly said, System, activate the mysterious reward. Ding. Congratulations player for activating the mysterious reward. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining the skill Great Hand Seal of the Morning. Great Hand Seal of the Mortal Life, Advanced. Attributes, Crush, Destroy. Description, Mortal life is like a dragon traversing the thousands of worlds. Concentrate the will of the living, unstoppable and invincible. Special condition, before the God of Boundary, if a player wants to use it once, they will need to use 50 billion experience. After the God of Boundary, there is no limit to how much you can use it. After reading all of them, Long Fei was no longer able to express the excitement in his heart. Yes, the Buddha seal, but it was supreme. However, the Mortal Life Great Palm was incredibly powerful. Although the two had similar meanings. But it was different. This was because there could be a lot of equal existences. But supreme, it was one of a kind. Fuck, that's too awesome. Even though the conditions are harsh, I'll accept it. Who asked you to be so awesome? Long Fei instantly became spirited, turned his gaze, and looked towards the sky. Meng Shenji, don't be happy too early. Do you think you won for sure? Ha. Long Fei sneered and suddenly stood up. In the instant he mobilized the power of the Great Hand Seal of the Mortal Life, the holy source frantically pulled out from within his body. Wherever the holy source went, all evil energy was dispersed. However, it did not exit the body. Instead, it was directly absorbed by the fleshly body. Long Fei slightly hesitated in his heart, not knowing whether this change would affect his body or not. But now, there was no time to think about it. In Long Fei's eyes. Just a little. It was the explosion of Meng Shenji's power. At this time, Meng Shenji's expression also changed. His eyes shone with a bright light. As he looked at Long Fei, his gaze was also filled with shock. You actually expelled my evil power, the error's method? How is this possible? How could a trash like you possess such power? Meng Shenji could immediately see the changes in Long Fei's body, and his whole body became extremely gloomy. Impossible? There are a lot of things you don't think of. Let me tell you, your boss today, this senior will definitely drop it. Great Hand Seal of the Mortal Life, explode. Long Fei shouted. Immediately, he pushed out his palm. Instantly, the entire world began to shake. A supreme will that was able to tear apart the world came down from the heavens and the earth. They all rushed into Long Fei's palm. Long Fei's eyes were firm as he felt the immense power that had appeared between heaven and earth. His heart was incomparably shocked. He knew in his heart that this was the power of life. The will of the world is strong indeed. Haha, Meng Shenji, I don't care about your achievements. The world is like a dragon, the heavens and earth are not bound, explode for me. Boo! Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A violent explosion sounded out, and the tombstone began to crack apart. Meng Shenji's figure instantly shot backwards, tearing open the tombstone door and entering. However, it was impossible. The power of this palm strike by Long Fei far surpassed his imagination. Right at the moment when his figure wanted to flee, the door exploded, the tombstone shattered. No! Meng Shenji cried out in shock. The next moment, directly getting hit by Long Fei's palm strike, his body was instantly torn into pieces. At the same time, the system's voice also appeared. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Meng Shenji's clone. You have obtained 450,000 experience points, 450,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Long Fei stared blankly. Just as she got excited, she was instantly disappointed. Long Fei stared blankly. Just as she got excited, she was instantly disappointed. It's actually just a clone. Long Fei never thought that this Meng Shenji, who looked so awesome, could even pretend to have a new height. It was incomparably domineering. However, it was just a clone. Very good. One clone is the boss, so the rest shouldn't be too bad. It just so happens to be the case, let me accumulate some experience. Long Fei thought in his heart. Seeing that his experience had almost dropped to 0, Long Fei was already complaining in his heart. He was already at the 8th stage of the ancient powers and his experience was already complete. As long as he returned to the ancient world, he would immediately level up. However, this time, it was directly zeroed. However, upon thinking about the berserk nature of this skill, Long Fei felt at ease. However, next time, if he didn't have enough experience, he might drop a level. No, we definitely can't lower our levels. Damn, this is forcing me to start a massacre. Since I've been tricked by Hongyi, I might as well take it back from the people from the Sun God world. Long Fei thought in his heart. At the same time, the system rang out once again. Ding! Congratulations player Blood River Sin Power, would you like to fuse it? Fuse. Without the slightest hesitation. Although the power of the Blood River was not great, but since the system could release it, it must be useful to him. At the same time as Long Fei was refining the power of the Blood River. Within the resplendent light, a figure was staring at them. It was indeed Hong Yi. Alright, this move is awesome. Is this his trump card? Although it is not comparable to the vacuum hand seal, it is a type of power. When he transcends the other side of the river, he will definitely be more powerful than my vacuum hand seal. However, looking at this brat, he is not a kind person. He can't be hating me already, right? Not good, I have to use my methods and tie this kid to a battleship as soon as possible. Otherwise, my legacy will suffer. Hong Yi said in a low voice, his expression suddenly changing. The Central Court. The Lord of the Sacred Court, Hong Chi Tian, had a deep expression on his face. In his hesitation, he looked towards the civil and military officials. How's Princess's recovery going? Hong Chi Tian asked. He was the master of the Central Sacred Court and was extremely concerned about the calamity that had befallen the Yang God realm. Moreover, he was extremely reluctant to part with his power. Therefore, he spent a lot of effort to resolve the issue of the Yang God realm's safety. As for his woman, she was also the princess of the Sacred Court. Hong Choye had let him see hope. A daughter of destiny. The karmic luck of the entire Holy Court and even the entire Yang God realm enveloped him, just like how Hong Yi was all those years ago, accepting the karmic luck of heaven and earth. Therefore, he wanted Hong Choye to become a Yang God at all costs, even beyond that. However, never would he have thought that all of their plans would be thrown into chaos by Long Fei, who had suddenly risen up. Just as Hong Yi was about to reach the other side, half of his luck was taken by Long Fei. This led to Hong Yi's failure. God Emperor, the princess already came out of seclusion half a month ago. She has already traveled the world and wants to kill Long Fei. A bystander said in a low voice. Nonsense. Right now, it's a critical moment. Gathering our karmic luck is the key. How can we act in such a reckless manner? Hong Qi-tian frowned furiously. In an instant, not one of the civil and military officials dared to speak a word. None of them dared to look Hong Qi-tian in the eye. The monarch's might was vast and mighty, terrifying to the extreme. This emperor does not care what method you use to bring the princess back within 3 days. Furthermore, Long Fei must definitely be captured and brought back. Also, didn't you already explain to the other prisoners? Hong Qi-tian asked. The people he was talking about were none other than Black Knife's Lord God Emperor. We have confirmed that they are Long Fei's accomplices. Moreover, the recent events between the heaven and earth have been confirmed. It's Long Fei. He single-handedly killed 8 of the sun gods of the Resurrection Mountain. The people on the left and right said, their voices extremely low. This kind of thing was enough to cause a heaven-shaking, earth-shattering change. Furthermore, Hong Qi-tian was currently still in a state of rage, and his hatred for Long Fei had already reached the bone. At this time, the more trouble there was regarding Long Fei, the more it would ignite the anger in Hong Qi-tian's heart. Sure enough, at the moment the sounds left and right sounded out. Hong Qi-tian's eyes turned dark. He naturally knew that the sun god had fallen. However, never would he have thought that it would actually come from Long Fei. Crack, crack, crack. Hong Qi-tian immediately clenched his fists as killing intent filled his eyes. Damn it, I must have stolen the qi of heaven and earth, using the mountains and rivers to give me this power. No, I have to come back. You have given me the order that if the world's sun gods come, then I, the emperor, will seal the world, divide up the destiny of heaven and earth, and welcome the great calamity together. Hong Qi-tian's eyes became vicious as he said with a deep voice. At this time, Long Fei had already returned to the Peacock Mountain. However, a few days later, the entire Peacock Mountain was filled with a tyrannical aura. Long Fei's eyes lit up. Looks like they've succeeded. Long Fei's heart stirred as he thought of this result. Infinite smug. They were all brothers who had followed him here all the way back. Now that they had already become young gods and were even able to walk their own paths, returning to the ancient world would also be a great help to him in overturning the Emperor Xian. Then, the Holy Court is next. Long Fei gazed into the distance and prepared to leave. It was at this time that Long Fei suddenly turned around. Get out here. A loud shout rang out. As Long Fei's voice fell, a figure directly descended from the distant skies. Long Fei also shifted his gaze over. But in that moment, Long Fei's gaze was no longer willing to move. It was too beautiful. It could no longer be described with words. Her beauty was extraordinary and enchanting. It was a type of enticement different from the beauty of Long Fei's wives. With such a delicate and pitiful expression, the killing intent on Long Fei's body disappeared. Hey, girl, why are you hiding in the void when you have nothing better to do? Even if you admire me, you don't have to be so reserved. Just come out and tell me. I'm very fraternal. My love can help the whole world. I once had a great ambition. I wanted to let all the beauties in the world know the taste of love. Long Fei said, and revealed a big smile on his face. He thought that he was extremely deep. But if Long Fei were to see it from his brother's point of view, he would definitely see it with a single glance. Long Fei's heart was already pounding. After he finished speaking, Long Fei walked step by step towards the woman in front of him. Until he got close, the expression in Long Fei's eyes changed with a loud bang, and the woman in front of him attacked without any warning. The corner of his mouth actually had 2 sharp teeth growing out, which he directly bit towards Long Fei. Hee. Even if my temperament is unstoppable, my handsomeness will shock the world. Girl, you don't need to bite me the first time we meet, right? With that, Long Fei's eyes turned cold. He extended his hand and grabbed the woman. To care for the fairer sex, that still depended on the circumstances. To care for the fairer sex, that still depended on the circumstances. If she gave birth to killing intent towards Long Fei, then even if she was a nine heavens divine woman, a woman without equal in the world, Long Fei would absolutely not show her any mercy. Speak, why are you staring at me? Long Fei said coldly. There was still a smile on his face. However, killing intent was already brewing within his smile. If not, a satisfactory answer. Long Fei did not mind destroying the flower ruthlessly. But to Long Fei's surprise, the woman in front of him did not say a word. Immediately, killing intent surfaced in Long Fei's heart. He was about to attack. However, at this moment, the woman in front of him opened her eyes. Tear eyes. Just like a married woman who was abandoned, she stared at Long Fei with grievance. Instantly, Long Fei's heart froze. His heart was moved, as if he was that heartless person. Just kill, as long as you do it. From now on, we will be enemies, not friends, the next time we meet, the woman in front of him suddenly said. With just that one sentence, it had stunned Long Fei even more. He was certain that he was completely unfamiliar with the person in front of him. However, there seemed to be a mysterious connection between these strangers. Even a single action of hers could move Long Fei's heart. No, girl, who the hell are you? We don't seem to know each other. Long Fei said helplessly. Long Fei, you bastard. If it wasn't for you, how could I have become like this? The destiny of heaven and earth has been taken away from me. It has been taken away from me. My palace's ancestral master Yi's blood vein has also lost its light. It's all your fault. As she spoke, the woman started sobbing. And right when Long Fei's brain instantly exploded, a person instantly appeared within his mind. Princess of the Holy Sea? Damn, awesome. The clone was actually so capable, such a beautiful woman actually turned a blind eye to him. Long Fei was amazed. He had never imagined that his clone would be so popular in the world of the sun god. Especially when he saw the pitiful look of the woman before his eyes, Long Fei had the urge to beat up his own clone. Wait, then how did you know I was here? Long Fei asked. Logically speaking, grievances should always have a leader. No matter how powerful his clone was, he should be able to trace it with the power of the central sacred court. He couldn't find her here no matter what. Heh, you're so amazing. Stealing my power, you dare to act presumptuously here. Killing 8 young gods in one go, what a powerful technique. Right now, in the entire young god realm, who doesn't know of your great name Long Fei? Hong Yi said. Long Fei was startled, and immediately laughed bitterly. It seemed that his performance had been too eye-catching. However, Long Fei did not mind at all. He wanted to keep a low profile, but strength wouldn't allow it. If he did not meet so many people and jump out to seek death, Long Fei would not have started a massacre. It could only be said that everything was destined. Since someone had come to give him experience, Long Fei naturally accepted all of it. That girl, I'll tell you. I'm already related to your ancestor, Old Tai. A few days ago, I was just a lonely boat admiring the moon. We fought together. Long Fei said. The identity of the person in front of him was clear. It was the Princess of the Holy Sea. So this was naturally Hong Yi's inheritance. Thinking about Hong Yi's face, Long Fei was so angry that his teeth itched. Ha ha ha, Hong Yi, you couldn't have thought of this, right? Your father's clone actually tried to seduce your descendant. Awesome, the next time we meet, your father will bring your descendants to greet you and see what kind of expression you have. Then it's happily decided. I'll take this woman. Long Fei's eyes flashed with a smile, instantly feeling extremely comfortable. He was tricked by Hong Yi previously, so he had to get it back no matter what. Thinking about it, Long Fei smiled. But in the blink of an eye, he saw Hong Chiu Yi's contemptuous expression, as if he was looking at a clown. Long Fei was stunned and said, "What? You don't believe me?" Hong Chiu Yi sneered but did not speak, completely ignoring Long Fei. Long Fei was bored, so he did not linger on this question. After all, it was hard to believe the truth of this matter. After all, flying away was an existence on the other side of the river. Thinking about it, Long Fei changed the topic. That girl, to be honest. I am the real Long Fei. The one who cheated you was just a clone of mine. But don't worry, I'm a man of my word. In the future, I will be responsible for you. Long Fei's face turned serious. Scram, who asked you to take responsibility? I wish I could take your life. Hong Chuye instantly took a step back and said coldly, You don't want me to be responsible? Then why are you still chasing after me? Long Fei said helplessly, I want my things back. Hong Yi said word by word. When he spoke, he was still staring straight at Long Fei, as if he wanted to swallow Long Fei whole. Just like before, he was grinding his teeth and sucking the blood from his mouth. Suddenly, a sense of caution appeared in Long Fei's heart. Just as he was about to explain, his face suddenly changed. The void trembled as one figure after another descended from the skies. With 3 pairs of eyes, he saw countless worldly immortals and 9 calamity powerhouse. It was incomparably powerful. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the entire space. General, the heavens have been destroyed. Welcome to the palace. The leader of the group directly said. His face was ashen, and his aura was tyrannical. Long Fei's eyes moved as he looked towards Hong Chuye, only to see that Hong Chuye's eyes were trembling and his pupils were contracted, revealing a sense of fear. It even approached Long Fei as if looking for support. There's a chance. Long Fei's face lit up. At the same time, he felt suspicious. Why would Hong Chuye, as a princess of the Holy Court, feel fear towards the people of the Holy Court? Long Fei couldn't understand. However, Hong Yi did not explain. She lightly pulled Long Fei's arm, and with a pleading look in her eyes, she said, Help me. It was just 2 simple words. However, Long Fei's heart instantly twitched. An inexplicable sense of familiarity once again surfaced in his heart. Senior sister, Ming Clan? This situation merged directly with the figure in his mind. Instantly, Long Fei felt a strong desire to protect. Moreover, this was an opportunity. As long as I am here, no one can do anything to you. Even if you want to die, it's useless if you don't want to go back. Long Fei said, as his domineering aura leaked out. With a flip of his hand, he pulled Hong Chuye into his arms and stared at the void. Who's that? The Empyrean terminus, right? Autumn Leaf doesn't want to go back right now. You can scram now. Long Fei said indifferently. Because of Hong Chuye, he did not have any good feelings towards these people. In fact, with just a single word from Hong Chuye, Long Fei would make a move. Even if he had to kill them, he would do it without hesitation. How dare you? Who do you think you are to covet our princess? If you know what's good for you, I advise you to leave quickly. Otherwise, if the heavens do not destroy you, I will not destroy you. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curved into a cold smile. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curved into a cold smile. If the heavens do not destroy you, I will. What an arrogant tone. I feel that I'm pretty arrogant, but I didn't expect to meet you today. Inexplicably, Long Fei thought of a joke from his previous life. I came out to find my grandson, but I couldn't find his grandson, so I found someone to pretend to be my grandson. That's right. The person in front of him had completely put on a new front. The sun god stage was indeed very strong. Unfortunately, they were facing the wrong person. Mpage, you're right. Who dares to disobey the orders of my holy court? Only with our ability can we be arrogant. On the other hand, if you don't want to die, then hurry up and scram. The voice of heaven decimating became colder and colder, carrying a hint of impatience. It was as if talking to Long Fei for a bit more would be a waste of time. Fart. At this moment, Hong Chuye suddenly chuckled. Long Fei turned his head, but Hong Autumn Leaf had become cold again. Helpless, Long Fei could only retract his state of mind, but his hands were not honest. Taking advantage of Hong Yi holding his arm, he reached out his hand and stroked his butt. Weren't you acting haughtily? Wasn't he acting haughtily? Then I will openly eat tofu in front of everyone's eyes. Instantly, killing intent exploded from Hong Chiu-yi's eyes. Long Fei stared straight at Hong Chiu-yi. You have to understand that what you need right now is my help. Keep your aloof attitude. Otherwise, I will do anything. Long Fei intentionally made a vicious expression and threatened. In an instant, Hong Chiu-yi bit his lips, once again displaying a wronged expression. With a slight frown, her stubbornness caused one's heart to ache even more. In this instant, Long Fei actually felt a great sense of evil, and his palm unconsciously retracted back. And then he acted like he was a different person. All right, you win. Also, I'm not a heartless person, so don't show such an expression. I'm very generous. Long Fei said. After which, he raised his head. I'm done, what doom? If you're finished, then hurry down to your death. Long Fei was furious. He vented his anger on Heaven Destroyer. In the sky, the face of Heaven Destroyer turned cold as he looked at Hong Chiu-yi. Princess, I have to say, you're really in a desperate situation. A trash that isn't even a worldly immortal can actually make you fall for him? Think about it, the old you, who was so high up in the sky and had your heart messed up by Long Fei, became like this, giving up on yourself. Right now, even a piece of trash can be entrusted to you. As Heaven Destroyer spoke, his words were filled with ridicule and contempt, as well as his sarcasm towards Hong Chiu-yi. It seemed like he didn't have much respect for the princess, Hong Chiu-yi. And at this moment, Long Fei's expression became even more serious. Things are getting serious. The princess of the Holy Court's appearance is even worse than I thought. Long Fei thought in his heart. Originally, when Heaven Destroyer and the others came, he thought that it was because Hong Chiu-yi's cultivation had decreased that the other party's attitude was so frivolous and did not have any respect for him. But now, it seemed that it wasn't so. This was more than disrespect. It was simply taunting, not putting her in his eyes at all. There was even killing intent in his words. In a split second, Long Fei's eyes focused, and his pupils turned as bright as the stars, and started to flicker non-stop. No matter what, this matter is closely related to me. It seems that the water in the Holy Court isn't that clear either. Long Fei thought and made a decision. And then, he looked towards the heavens. It became more interesting. 3 experts of the Sun God stage, hundreds of peak worldly immortal stage experts and 9 tribulation experts. To Long Fei, this was an undisguised temptation. And at this time, Hong Chiu-yi spoke. If you want to bring me back, that's fine. Then kill him. Or you guys will be killed by him. He spoke arrogantly, coldly and cleanly. This time, even Long Fei looked towards Hong Chiu-yi. This was an attack from his opponent. But it didn't matter. Regardless whether they made a move or not, Long Fei would not let them go. Ha ha ha, good. Princess, princess, it seems that you are truly a degenerate. Have you given up? This is good too. Now, leave with me. As for this trash, any one of you will be able to kill him. As he spoke, he waved his hand. Immediately, a worldly immortal walked out from behind him. Boop! A spear shot through the air straight towards Long Fei. As for the Celestial Destroyer, as soon as this person attacked, he began to walk towards Hong Chiu-yi step by step. As far as he was concerned, killing Long Fei was as easy as crushing an ant. He never took it to heart. However, at that moment, a miserable shriek could be heard. Heaven Destroyer's footsteps came to a halt. Long Fei was still standing in his original position. In his hands, the worldly immortal stage expert was being held by Long Fei by the neck and was frantically struggling. Truly garbage. You can't even take away a single piece of trash. What use will I have you here? The face of the Celestial Destroyer turned cold. Then, he waved his hand. Suddenly, another expert of the 9th level came out with a sinister look in his eyes. With a swipe of his hands, a shocking strength appeared in his hands and a palm landed. Sky-splitting palm, the man shouted. It instantly descended from the skies. But just as his palm was about to land on Long Fei's body, Long Fei made her move. even though his physical body had entered the Great Tao's hibernation mode. But the state that has been strengthened and changed will not change. Right now, his body still had the power to fight against the Nine Springs Blood River. To him, the attack before his eyes did not cause the slightest bit of damage. Even if he stood still, the other party wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Boom. Long Fei slowly raised his fist. One punch horizontally across the sky. The Great Tao was extremely simple. I don't care how strong you are, I only have one punch. The 9 tribulation experts instantly landed on the ground, rolling their eyes. They could not believe their eyes as they saw their own bodies explode, and all of them died with hatred. Even in death, he didn't understand how he had died. Heaven Destroyer was finally moved and stopped in his tracks. There are some methods. No wonder Hong Chuye would believe them. Unfortunately, I encountered this general. If you don't become a sun god, you'll become an ant in the end. As he spoke, a long blade appeared in a flash of light. Once the long blade appeared, Long Fei's eyes started to flicker. The monstrous murderous aura. Moreover, this baleful aura was not the power of the heavens, but rather the power of this weapon. Is the sun god very strong? It's not just 1 or 2 people who died at my hands. With a thought, Long Fei's figure disappeared in an instant. What you said earlier wasn't wrong. Only with strength can you be awesome. Then I'll tell you now. Even though your way of putting on an act with all your might is very haughty, but after you're done, you still have to talk nonsense. Die. Long Fei punched out like an invincible war god. Ancient World, Divine Space. Ancient World, Divine Space. Xian Nationality Palace. Emperor Xian slowly opened his eyes on the Venerable One. When it opened and closed, it was as if the sun and moon were changing. It was as if the heavens were being split open and the earth was being split apart. The entire imperial palace was shaken. Broken army? Did Long Fei find it? The Emperor Xian asked. Long Fei had already become a thorn in the side of the Emperor Xian. It was not Long Fei who was constantly getting stronger. It was to say, over and over again, that Long Fei had narrowly escaped death. It had already made him sick. Especially now, Emperor Xian was even more cautious. The competition for the God of Boundary was in front. As long as he became a God of Boundary, he would surpass Long Batian and reach a height that had never been seen before. Becoming the ancient world, first-generation God of Boundary. At that time, what ancient powerhouse. What an eternal legend. It will all be the past. As the history was about to be rewritten, he, Long Batian, was the only one with the strongest power. Therefore, at such a time, the more worried Emperor Xian was, the more he would not allow any mistakes to occur. However, it was inexplicable. Long Fei hovered in the Emperor Xian's mind, feeling that something would go wrong because of him. Po Jun fell silent. He similarly hated Long Fei to death. Great Emperor, there is still no news of Long Fei. I think he should have died, after all. As Po Jun spoke, he looked at Emperor Xian. Impossible. Even the Lord of Primal Chaos would not be able to accomplish something that our Xian nationality couldn't. This emperor dares to determine that he is definitely still alive. The competition for the God of Boundary will begin before too long. Before that happens, you must kill Long Fei first. Emperor Xian's eyes were cold as he said solemnly. Po Jun looked troubled. He had to find someone to kill first. But facing the Emperor Xian, he didn't dare to say a single word. Right, there's still the process of annihilating the Yang God realm that needs to be pushed further. The fall of the God of Boundary can trigger the war for the God of Boundary. The Emperor Xian said in a deep voice. Yang God realm, Peacock Mountain. Heaven decimating brandished his blade and fell from the sky. A surging killing intent filled the air. It was like a raging storm that wanted to split the entire world into countless pieces. Kid, no matter what tricks you have up your sleeve, in front of this daddy here is the God-slaughtering knife. It's going to be a good shard. Annihilate. Heaven Destroyer was in a frenzy. Killing intent surged in his eyes. But Long Fei remained indifferent. This power was very berserk, but in front of Long Fei's body, it could be completely ignored. Invincible punch. Boom. Boom. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Long Fei suddenly threw out a punch. With the blast of his fist, Long Fei's figure moved horizontally within the baleful aura that permeated the sky. Shua, 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 endless saber light flashed. But Long Fei was fearless. He completely ignored them. He was completely unaffected by the wild attacks of the blade light. The look in Heaven Destroyer's eyes changed, and he could not believe it. He had always been confident in his own strength. Below the Sun God, he had nothing to fear. Slash, slash, slash. But now, it was completely useless against Long Fei. No, impossible. You are clearly just a trash of the martial saint realm. How could you block my war god saber? This is impossible. The sound of the heavens annihilating the earth was extremely shocking. At this moment, he finally understood why Hong Yi had displayed such an attitude. He acted as if he had nothing to fear. Who are you? Suddenly, a terrifying possibility burst forth from the depths of heaven's destruction. His eyes suddenly narrowed. Long Fei, who was enveloped in this evil aura, revealed a smile as he looked at heaven decimating. Isn't Laozi wanted by the entire city? You still don't know who I am? Long Fei said coldly, and in that instant, his fist shook, and the killing intent that filled the sky vanished with a loud bang. And at this moment, Long Fei's figure also rushed out. His speed exceeded the limit of space. It was like jumping through the air. Just for an instant. Boom. Asterisk the punch directly pierced through the sky destruction chest. Boom. Boom. The figure of Celestial Destroyer was sent flying backwards. And then, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Heaven Destroyer, obtained 40 million experience points. Holy Source S, 40,000 points, striking value, 1 point. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining War God Saber. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining the Secret Order of the Holy Courtyard. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining the Secret Command. One punch to kill the enemy. Long Fei's eyes moved, and with a flip of his hand, he held War God's saber in his hand. The moment he shook hands, Long Fei felt a fighting spirit soaring into the sky. So powerful. Long Fei's eyes lit up as he felt the power from War God's saber. He felt that the pearl was covered in dust. It's such a waste for such power to fall into the hands of such an existence. Don't worry, I will make you shine by following me. Long Fei thought. He held the War God's blade and stood horizontally in the air. And at this moment, the void had completely erupted. With the death of Celestial Destroyer, everyone was thrown into disarray. Long Fei, his Long Fei. Not good, run. Even the general is dead. If we stay, we will all be courting death. Let's go. Instantly, voices sounded and began to flee madly. However, at this time, Hong Autumn Leaf's voice also appeared. Long Fei, kill them. With a hint of urgency. Long Fei did not bother about him. Carrying War God's saber, his eyes were filled with killing intent. Coincidentally, I'll use you guys to test the power of the War God blade before, it was an invincible punch. Now, it's invincible. Long Fei said coldly. They were both invincible, but their meanings were completely different. The first was invincible strength. The second was invincible. It was annihilated, slaughtered, and slaughtered all the enemies in the sky. Shua, 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 in an instant. Saber light filled the sky. Endless fighting spirit and monstrous infernal energy erupted. It swept through the world. Puff, puff, puff. With each stroke of the blade, a head would fall. The frenzied slaughter didn't slow down in the slightest. One by one, the people from the Holy Court became bloodthirsty and emptier under the endless blade light, becoming Long Fei's underlings. Even the remaining 2 young gods were the same. This War God's saber, in Long Fei's hands, now unleashed its true power. The blood-stained starry sky was invincible. He pushed his surging pride and arrogance to the limit. Even if it was a sun god, he would still be able to instantly kill him with a single slash. Rumble. Rumble. Countless people attacked at the same time, wanting to use their powers to strike and block the blade chi. However, it was all in vain. As long as they were swept by the blade chi, there was no other choice but death. Below, Hong Qiuyi's eyes fluctuated slightly as she looked at Long Fei. She was deep in thought. No one knew what she was thinking about. As for Long Fei, he was also currently immersed in the harvest. EXP bar. After the apocalypse, these players didn't drop anything useful. However, Long Fei did not care. What he needed was experience. As for these people, they were the experimental learning stumps. Each of them had more than 100 million experience. It was incomparably savage. Within the time of a few breaths, all the people in the Holy Court had died. Countless experience points exploded forth. One wave of fertilizer. He directly added nearly 70 billion experience into Long Fei's account. The previous deficit was filled up in an instant. In this way. Haha, great. Meng Shenji, the next time I see you, I'll give you a big hand print to show off in front of me. Long Fei thought. His gaze shifted as he looked at something. The secret command of the Saint Lord. Task prop. Task prop. Long Fei's expression changed. As a player, this thought appeared in his mind the moment he saw it. Although he had not read the content, Long Fei knew. At the level of heaven's destruction, if it wasn't for the system, it wouldn't have dropped this item. Without holding back, Long Fei opened it immediately. However, it was not as Long Fei had imagined, a quest. On the contrary, the content within shocked Long Fei. F***ck, that was awesome. Hong Yi, to think that you were able to transcend the other side. The legacy you left behind is truly amazing. Even if it's poisonous, you don't eat women. A junior, for the sake of the world, actually wants to use your own daughter as a cauldron. How vicious. Long Fei was shocked. Looking at Hong Qiuyi, who was far away, his heart sank. Without batting an eyelid, a flame flashed in Long Fei's hand, about to destroy the order. But now, he discovered that he didn't know what material this order was made of, and his own strength couldn't destroy it at all. Hey! Long Fei stared blankly, as if he was not willing, and released a wisp of blade chi. However, the result was the same. The materials that were used to hold the secret order didn't change at all. Even the most violent of powers could not destroy it. Damn, what is this thing? Long Fei was even more shocked. At this time, Hong Qiuye walked over. Don't waste your energy. This is paperweight. It was the core of the Great Wheel of Liberation that Yi Zhu had refined back then. Is the ability to carry the power of the other shore. Unless you have already transcended, there is no way to destroy it. Hong Yi said. Long Fei's eyes lit up. Paper. Suppressing the other side. Ha ha ha. Instantly, Long Fei laughed out loud. He had only just obtained the method to refine the evacuation wheel, and had not expected to obtain the core materials directly. As for the rest, they could be replaced with other alternatives. Transcending beyond the other shore, free from the sea of bitterness. As long as he had the power to suppress them, what sort of transcendence was that? Wasn't it easy? Suddenly, Long Fei was extremely excited. Without any warning, he directly picked up the Hong Yi and took a bite towards the cherry-red lips. Hong Autumn Leaf's face instantly turned ice-cold. Killing intent exploded out. Long Fei, you're courting death. Hong Qiuye turned around and slapped him. But before he landed, he was stopped by Long Fei. But now that he stopped her, Long Fei's expression became extremely ugly. There was no power. What's going on? Long Fei's eyes darkened as he asked. None of your business. Hong Qiuye turned his face away, his voice cold. It's none of my business. You are already my man, your business is my business. In this world, only I can bully you. Long Fei said in a serious tone. He was so domineering that no one could refuse him. And at this time, in Long Fei's heart, was also incomparably comfortable. This was also the first time he had used the domineering CEO method. He suddenly felt that he was too imposing. Hong Qiuye was stunned. He never thought that Long Fei would be so tyrannical. His eyes were misty and aggrieved. However, an extremely strange feeling emerged from the bottom of his heart, as if his heart was being controlled by Long Fei in such a tyrannical manner. However, this thought emerged in Hong Qiuye's heart. And so, he was abandoned by Hong Qiuye. Impossible, how could I fall for this damn hooligan? Hong Qiuye told himself in his heart. But how could this expression be hidden from Long Fei? This expression was just too familiar. It was no different from the Xian who he had met after entering the Immortal Execution Archipelago. Sensing this point, Long Fei immediately asked, "Now can you tell me what exactly happened?" Long Fei changed his tone and became extremely gentle. This time, Hong Yi's heart instantly warmed, as if the pressure bearing down on him had found an outlet to vent. His application went listless all of a sudden. "Isn't it all because of you? If that day when I was receiving the chi of heaven and earth, you didn't suddenly barge in. After seizing nearly half of my destiny, how could I possibly fall to such a state? After my karmic luck was taken away, I suffered a backlash from the Eye of Fate. Right now, my royal father should be thinking of stealing the Eye of Destiny from my body and then refining your clone. Once again, he would gather the energy and luck within his body and infuse it into his own body before transcending the other side." Although his words were filled with complaints, they no longer contained the hatred and killing intent from before. Most of them seemed to be angry. Long Fei's heart trembled. Never would he have thought that he was the culprit. Seeing the sorrowful Hong Qiuye, Long Fei surprisingly reached out and hugged her. But this time, Hong Qiuye actually didn't struggle. "Don't worry. With me here, no one will be able to hurt you. Not even your father," Long Fei said firmly. Long Fei had never rejected her charm, especially Hong Qiuye, who was exceptionally beautiful. Therefore, Long Fei's desire to protect was not impulsive. It was inevitable. Suddenly, Long Fei felt an itch, as if something was caressing him. Whoosh! With a flip of his hand, Long Fei reached out and grabbed hold of a furry tail. Long Fei suddenly turned around, only to see that behind Hong Qiuye's back, there were actually 9 fox tails, extremely beautiful. "Fuck, you're from the spirit fox?" Long Fei was shocked. Unexpectedly. He hadn't expected this result at all. Previously, when he saw the spirit fox king, he felt that it was a bit of a pity and wanted to raise a spirit fox. Who would have thought that it would actually come in handy right now? Moreover, she felt some inexplicable feelings for him. "Ha ha ha, great." Long Fei laughed. When a 9-tailed fox moved, it was usually either in battle or out of love. Now the situation was clear. Hong Autumn Leaf was moved. As for Hong Qiuye, after being grabbed by Long Fei's tail, his face flushed red and with a soft moan, he collapsed into Long Fei's embrace. Completely confused. So much so that Long Fei would not even reject any presumptuous ideas he had raised. As for Long Fei, he was also extremely excited. He felt that the blood vein was spitting blood from its nose. If not for the fact that they were in an emergency, Long Fei would definitely not have been able to resist. "Mother *K, after we get rid of the Emperor Xian, I will definitely arrange all the women here so that they can sleep together," Long Fei secretly thought. And then, he suppressed his mind. At this time, Hong Qiuye also felt that he was in a predicament. He quickly withdrew his infatuation and returned to his previous state. Long Fei, where exactly is his current clone? He had already gone through 4 thunder tribulations and obtained the destiny of the young god world. I'm afraid he has already passed the 9 tribulations and will soon reach the sun god's position. My royal father will definitely make his move before he becomes a sun god. So, right now, he must be very dangerous. And you, too. Why don't we just find a place to hide? Once you fuse with your avatar's power and become a sun god, you will come out again. By then, even my royal father would be helpless to do anything about it," Hong Yi said. Long Fei shook his head. "No need, I just said that not to mention your royal father. Even if your master were to come, you don't have to be afraid." In the central sacred courtyard, the crowd was like a stream. In the central sacred courtyard, the crowd was like a stream. To the young god realm, The central holy court had already become a sacred place. There was nothing else but that this legacy was left behind by Hong Yi. Back then, Hong Yi became an expert on the other side and reshuffled the world. The position of the Holy See was naturally in the hands of his own legacy. Thus, Hong Chi Tian gave the order to seal the world. Naturally, the experts of the world would not be missed. There are quite a few experts in the Holy Court. Long Fei and Hong Chuoye were standing in an inconspicuous place. As they looked at the traffic on the long street of the Holy Court's Imperial Road, their eyes flashed with a bright light. To others, this was a top expert. But to Long Fei, it was an undisguised experience. There was no way to resist at all. However, at this moment, Hong Autumn Leaf's eyes were extremely nervous. Long Fei, royal father bestowed great authority to the entire world. I feel that this is a conspiracy, you must be careful. Hong Chuoye reminded. Don't worry, your royal father's plan might not be complete. Long Fei said, his eyes flashing with light. At this moment, the crowd was in an uproar. A golden light descended from the sky. He stood frozen in the air, radiating the light of the heavens. This golden light filled the entire holy court, leaving not a single corner to avoid. The sacred emperor has decreed that the grand seal is coming, but the cholera is not over yet. The sanctuary is after Long Fei, capturing the princess. Anyone who can capture Long Fei will immediately be bestowed the title Marquis of Heaven and Earth, with the power of 3 portions of karmic luck. A command was issued from within the golden light. After which, it extended across the empty space as though the heaven and earth shared the same view. In an instant, the entire street started to boil with activity. Cultivators with strong auras started to use their own strength to inquire about what was going on. Long Fei? Who is Long Fei? That piece of trash who hasn't even passed through the young god. Damn it, he dared to desecrate my princess. Damn it. I'll kill him. Fuck you, the princess is mine, no one is allowed to steal from me. One by one, experts soared into the sky, staring at each other as enmity exploded between them. On the other side, Long Fei sneered. The moment many voices appeared, Long Fei had already sensed that there was a special kind of energy seeping out of the Golden Light Law Order, and that it was directly linked to these people. Following that, Long Fei's gaze turned. His expression turned increasingly dark. This was because all of them had the power of a golden light. This, in other words, everyone wanted to kill him. With just a thought, killing intent exploded in Long Fei's heart. Without batting an eyelid, Long Fei withdrew his killing intent and looked at Hong Chuoye. Your royal father is good too, he even wants to build a memorial archway after becoming a whore. This one's good. However, what kind of expression would he have when he was waiting for me to bring his grandson back? Long Fei said with a smile. Hong Yi's face turned red, but he didn't say a word. She also completely did not expect that her royal father would actually announce it to the world. Moreover, the moment the command was given, it meant that she was already an abandoned child. Long Fei didn't know how cold the word Heaven and Earth Marquis was, but she knew it very clearly in her heart. Whose is the world? Of course it's royal. If one wanted to divide up the royal family's destiny, one naturally had to become a member of the royal family. For an outsider to become a member of the imperial family, the only condition was marriage. And now, it was her only use. There were many princesses in the imperial court. However, there was only one person who could truly match the 2 words Heaven and Earth Marquis. At this time, Long Fei also noticed the worry in Hong Chuoye's eyes. What? Are you afraid that I won't be able to beat them? To be honest, in the eyes of others, they are experts. But in my eyes, none of them could withstand a single blow. Long Fei said without concealing anything. Instantly, streams of killing intent exploded from the restaurant. Everyone looked at Long Fei with ill intent. Kid, are you tired of living? Aren't you afraid of losing your tongue? A mere martial saint dares to boast so shamelessly? Beauty, don't follow this trash. Just follow me. I can guarantee that after I kill Long Fei, Princess Chuoye will become a big shot and you will be a kid. There will never be a third woman. Immediately, someone jumped out to retaliate towards Long Fei. Long Fei looked up and smiled. Brother, you're quite ambitious. My woman really isn't worthy of you, Long Fei said. Hearing that, the man thought Long Fei had admitted defeat. He began to laugh. Ha ha ha, have you heard that there are no beauties here? Just trash like him. What are you doing with him? Just follow me. How is this trash qualified to have a beauty like you? Ha ha. The man laughed wildly. Hong Yi's eyes turned cold. The moment she became infatuated with Long Fei, she had already decided on Long Fei. When he heard that the other party was being frivolous, his face instantly turned frosty. Even though her strength was almost gone. However, he would never allow anyone to insult him. But at this time, Long Fei said with a smile, Bro, you really should pay taxes on your IQ. When Laozi said that your ambition is ambitious, it meant that you, a toad, want to eat swan meat. You don't even know what kind of person you are. Do you think you can even touch my woman? With that, Long Fei's gaze congealed. In the blink of an eye, a punch was thrown out. Boom. With an invincible boxing aura, he struck out with a formidable punch. He directly smashed that person's head apart. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing passers-by. You have received 400,000 experience points, 400,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Shua shua shua. Everyone's gaze instantly fell on Long Fei. No one would have thought that Long Fei would actually kill people so violently. Moreover, it was an instant kill. Instantly, their gazes changed. He stealthily withdrew his thoughts, wanting to leave this restaurant. But at this moment, Long Fei's voice sounded once again. Everyone, are you in such a hurry to leave? Aren't you all curious about who I am? Long Fei said. Hong Yi's face changed. He didn't understand what was going on. Are you crazy? Hong Yi hurriedly stopped him. Long Fei was powerful. However, he was in the holy court right now. If things went wrong, his father would personally take action. At that time, Long Fei would not be a match for her. My wife, just watch. A madman does not become a Buddha. If I'm not crazy, then it's not me. Don't worry, there might be people who can take my life. However, there isn't any in the sacred court. Long Fei said firmly. Rumble rumble rumble. At the same time, space exploded. A voice came over. What arrogant words. Kid, you killed someone in the holy court. No matter who you are, you're dead. Today, since you've chosen to use your body to test the method, then this army will put you on the right track. The person who had come was none other than one of the Holy Hall's guards. Swish. In the blink of an eye, a long spear pierced through the air. A sharp killing intent exploded out. The shadows of the spear fluctuated, filled with endless killing intent. But just as it was about to land on Long Fei's body, an astonishing fist intent appeared. Clang. Catcher, catcher. Long Fei punched the spear of the guard who just attacked. Instantly, the long spear exploded. No, that's impossible. You are only a trash of the martial saint realm. How could you have such strong power? The Holy Hall's guards were all shocked. They couldn't believe it, but the way they looked at Long Fei became even more murderous. Then, he waved towards the empty space. Swish, swish. Countless guards descended. Swish. Ha. Countless spears were pointed at Long Fei, waiting for their leader to give the order. Did you see that, kid? So what if your body is strong? The result will still not change. You will definitely die. The leader of the guards coldly said. The leader of the guards coldly said. These 4 short words were filled with killing intent. At this moment, all the guards attacked in unison. Every single one of them was the same as the one who had attacked before. The same shot. The same aura of annihilation. However, the strength of their combined attacks multiplied by several times. It was definitely not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. In the blink of an eye, everyone within and without the restaurant calmed down. They're dead for sure. The Holy Guards are a group of powerhouse created by the Sage Emperor himself. Not only are they extremely strong in individual combat, their combined attack power is comparable to a 9 tribulations expert. You deserve it. You don't have the strength, and yet you possess such a beautiful woman. You are courting death. The crowd clamored, all of them looking down on Long Fei. A man's wealth is his own fault. He didn't have absolute strength, and yet he brought such a beautiful woman to flaunt his skills. He was simply asking for trouble. Immediately, each one of them seemed to understand the meaning behind it. It was as if after the Holy Hall guard made his move, the result was already decided, there was no suspense at all. But at this moment, a loud boom suddenly exploded out. Violent energy exploded in the restaurant. Unrivaled power, the fist intent wreaked havoc, directly piercing through the horizon. The entire restaurant was annihilated by this force and turned into dust. At the very center of the battle, there was a tempest. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The storm rumbled, and in the blink of an eye, it rapidly spread to the surrounding area. All of the Holy Palace guards were swept up within the storm. Screams were heard. Ah! No! Help! Countless noises finally merged into one, and other than a bunch of miserable screams, there was no other sound. However, the sound didn't last for very long. After a few breaths of time, the entire world returned to its previous tranquility as the storm continued. But in the arena, other than Long Fei and Hong Qiuyi, there was no one else. Holy Hall Guard. Extinction. Long Fei looked at the person in the distance with an indifferent expression. Hong Autumn Leaf wanted to struggle. Long Fei, enough, Hong Qiuyi said with a red face. Although he already recognized Long Fei in his heart, he was still a bit embarrassed in front of this public. Heh, how can that be enough? Long Fei winked at him and laughed. However, he sighed in his heart. Although the wife I picked up is a princess of the Holy See, she's still too naive. It's the Golden Light Order again, and the Holy Guards again. Your royal father knew that we were in the Holy Court since a long time ago. Long Fei thought, as he used more strength to hold Hong Qiuyi's hand. Following that, he turned his gaze to the distance. He could feel that at the moment he killed the Holy Hall's guards, an extremely powerful aura appeared in the air. Each Dao was the sun god realm. Moreover, it was a bit stronger than the one he had just killed. At the same time, the people in the distance started to retreat. The scene in front of them directly shattered their entire view of the world. Crazy, crazy. Killing people in the Holy Court was not bad, but he actually dared to kill the guards of the Holy Court. He's dead for sure. Right. Unless matriarchy arrives. Otherwise, even the ancient inheritance would not be able to save him. Let's go, this is a madman. Countless people were cursing and swearing, not wanting to stay here for even a second longer. The current Long Fei was a dangerous character in their eyes. It was like a ticking time bomb that might explode at any moment. But even if they wanted to leave, Long Fei forbade them. When Long Fei saw that the golden light was descending and wanted to kill him, Long Fei had already made a decision. The reason he came to the Holy Court was to get people. To have his brother. And for that, his woman wanted justice. Since he's the lord of the sacred court, he's going to make a killing plan. In that case, he might as well jump out and kill to his heart's content. Otherwise, why would he take the initiative to provoke them? Therefore, when Long Fei saw that everyone had the intention to retreat, he immediately leaped into the air and carried Hong Qiuyi into the air. He stood horizontally in the air, facing the crowd. What, leaving just like that? Didn't you want to kill me? Aren't you interested in my woman? Leaving just like that, wasn't that a pity? I am a piece of trash. Long Fei squinted his eyes and said indifferently. No, no, no. Great sir, you are a genius, a godly talent. We are the trash. Right, right. We are the trash. We toads want to eat swan meat. Let us go, we are nothing more than trash. How can we be worthy of your help? Instantly, these people immediately admitted their wrongs. All of them bowed and abandoned their dignity. But Long Fei's expression was still cold. It was as though he didn't care at all about the attitude of these people. In fact, this was what Long Fei had decided in his heart. These were all experience points. How could Long Fei give up on such a gift? After thinking about it, Long Fei turned around again and pointed to the sky. But, Don't tell me that you're not even going to listen to Hong Qi-tian's orders. Don't you want to become a heaven and earth marquis? Don't you want to share the fate of heaven and earth? Besides, you all have seen the woman beside me. She is the princess of the Holy See. Don't any of you want to have it? Long Fei said indifferently. It was filled with playfulness. But suddenly, Long Fei's heart trembled, and felt a cold intent come to his ears. When he turned his head, he saw Hong Qiuyi looking at him with an ice-cold expression, and his eyes were already filled with tears. Long Fei's heart ached. He had already guessed what Hong Qiuyi was thinking. He even grabbed onto Hong Qiuyi's hand with all his might. Believe me, you're my woman. Nothing I do will hurt you. Long Fei said solemnly. Hong Qiuyi remained unmoved, but the iciness on his body began to dissipate. Long Fei turned his head. His expression became even colder. Hong Qiuyi's reaction made him feel helpless, so he became even more unhappy. However, Long Fei believed that as long as he could kill all these people, Hong Qiuyi would understand. Thinking about it, Long Fei's eyes released a berserk and crazy look. He looked at everyone. What? Don't tell me all of you are unmoved by this. Long Fei continued to ask. In an instant, the crowd exploded. There was madness, fear, and endless greed. She is the princess of the Holy See. Then, some guessed, but their faces instantly changed drastically. Long Fei, his Long Fei. His words immediately attracted everyone's attention. What did the word Long Fei represent? It was strength, it was luck, it was destiny, it was women. It was the supreme power of the entire world of the Sun God. In an instant, everyone's eyes turned red with desire. It was as if he was trying to kill someone. At this time, Long Fei also chuckled and looked towards the crowd. That's right, you're right. I am Long Fei. Since you all want to kill me, then come at me. This father will stay here today and pick out your so-called experts from the Yang God realm. If you don't accept it, then let's fight. Arrogant beyond compare, ignoring heaven and earth. Arrogant beyond compare, ignoring heaven and earth. He did not put anyone in his eyes at all. Ha ha ha, it's Long Fei. Brat, you're too arrogant. What rights do you have? What destiny? The most important thing is that your arrogance really pisses me off. Everyone attack together, kill him. In the blink of an eye, a few voices sounded from the crowd. Immediately after, one figure after another soared into the sky, attacking Long Fei from different directions. And Long Fei, at this moment, also let out a small sigh of relief. Has he finally taken the bait? Since that's the case, then let me start a massacre today. Long Fei took a deep breath in his heart and hugged Hong Qiuyi. He gazed at her with deep emotion and said, "Silly girl, your royal father already knew that we had come to the sacred court. Didn't he use you as a bargaining chip to make you work hard for him? Then today, I will kill all those who are ready to make a move. Come, your husband will bring you to kill someone." Long Fei said indifferently. It was extremely plain, but every word struck against Hong Qiuyi's heart. Especially the last sentence, "take her to kill people." It also caused Hong and Autumn Leaf to instantly fall. Unconsciously, he hugged Long Fei tightly. So, he knows everything. So, everything that he has done was because of me. So, Hong Qiuyi's heart was flooded with emotions, and all of the coldness melted in an instant. Looking at Long Fei's side profile as though she was being slashed by a knife, her beautiful eyes continued to linger around. As for Long Fei, he was currently completely immersed in the brewing of the massacre. You want to keep a low profile even if you have the strength. He still needed to hide in secret. Non-existent. Moreover, Long Fei had a guess. That was Hong Yi. It was true that Hong Yi had left the world of the Sun God, but he had always been thinking about the Sun God world. Otherwise, he wouldn't have split his thoughts and returned from the other side to entrust the task to Long Fei. And now, the Yang God realm was riddled with holes. Especially since it involved his inheritance. Therefore, he could not bear to wash up, so he could only do everything with Long Fei's help. Of course, this conjecture did not come out of nowhere. The root cause of all this was Hong Choye and his clone. Was the destiny of a world so easily divided? Hong Yi had transcended the other side. Even if he faced them himself, he only needed to run. No matter how powerful his clone was, could it avoid Hong Yi? It was basically impossible. As such, it was highly likely that Hong Yi's plan was to have his clone steal the karmic luck away from him. By now, Hong Choye was basically guaranteed to become together with him. For what? Of course it was to let Long Fei be steadfast in protecting the young god realm. F***ck, I didn't know that you had already done this from my doppelganger. Hong Yi, you are awesome. However, your descendant is going to be my woman. Ha ha. Long Fei laughed out loud in his heart, and then immediately took out his war god's saber. At this time, the attacks in the air also arrived. One slash is invincible. Long Fei bellowed, and slashed with his blade. Swish. The light of the blade instantly expanded to 30,000 meters, as if it wanted to sever the heaven and earth, divide the yin and yang, and cut through time and space. A boundless radiance instantly illuminated the void. Ruumbel. Boom. 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 Under the blade, the shadows of a few attacks instantly vanished into thin air and were annihilated by Long Fei's blade. However, this was not the end. Wherever the blade's light passed by, it formed a power that could destroy the heavens and the earth. That power, and its final target, was the Golden Light Law that had descended. Aren't you awesome? The Golden Light Law, wanted throughout the entire process? Fine, then I'll jump out and cut off your command. Destroy powerhouse that you think can work hard. When the time comes, do you want to be arrogant and take a look? All of this was done by Long Fei for Hong Chi-tien to see. It was for the sake of telling him in a high-profile manner. Don't put on an act. Especially don't put on airs in front of Laozi. Because the price of acting tough, you can't afford it. KCHA. It was also at this time that the strength of one of Long Fei's slashes finally landed on the golden light in the air. A crisp breaking sound could be heard. Everyone in the sky was already incomparably shocked. No one would have thought that Long Fei was actually this crazy. His provoking the gods. To disrespect the holy court, to disrespect the emperor, is to disrespect Yi Zhu. Prodigal ambition. He actually wants to kill us all, madman. This is a madman. Countless voices rang out, all of them trembling. Once the Golden Light Law was issued, they were all enforcers. As long as they had the intent to kill Long Fei in their hearts, it was equivalent to accepting the decree of the Golden Light Law. And now, even the Golden Light Law command had been slashed by Long Fei, which made this clear. He wanted to turn the sky upside down. And Long Fei, at this moment, was also looking at the shattered and scattered golden light. His gaze focused slightly. And then, killing intent appeared once again. You all. Are you ready? Long Fei turned around, the war god blade shining brightly in his hand. The people in the void then became restless, their hearts filled with boundless terror. No, don't kill me. I was wrong. I was just thinking. I didn't have such thoughts. Right, let me go. The princess is yours and the young god realm is yours. If you let us go, we'll be your dog. Countless voices begging for mercy appeared from the void. One after another, no one could be indifferent in the face of death. Especially now, when even the Golden Light Law command had been destroyed by Long Fei, they were all more clear on Long Fei's intent to kill them. In this sort of situation, they didn't even have the courage to resist and instantly admitted defeat. Of course, there were also some people who understood. Long Fei would never let them off, even if they begged for mercy. Thus, in this instant, they simultaneously exploded forth. A monstrous power rumbled in the void. Blades, swords, palms, and many other kinds of violent forces gathered together. At this moment, all of his purpose was to kill Long Fei. However, this kind of power, in front of Long Fei, was not even enough. A single slash was invincible, not to say. And what Long Fei had been waiting for, was for them to make their move in time. Haha, good job. When you guys want to kill me, you should have already thought of the result. Hong Chi-tien, watch carefully. Your memorial archway has been cut down by me, and your dogs will also be destroyed by me. You don't have the qualifications to kill me. Long Fei laughed. He was extremely crazed. So what if it was the master of the sacred court? If it wasn't for Hong Qiuyi's management, Long Fei would have already gone to the sacred court. However, just in time, the experience brought by these countless powerhouses was enough to make Long Fei satisfied. After he finished speaking, Long Fei immediately took action. The war god's saber exploded with absolute strength, each of them filled with an unparalleled will to fight. His fighting spirit was limitless. Battle of the Great Earth, War of the Nine Heavens, War of the Nether Realm. One slash was invincible. I am invincible. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In an instant, it was as if Long Fei had pierced through the void. At the same time, the system notifications constantly sounded beside Long Fei's ears. Ding. Countless notifications went on, but to Long Fei, it was a pleasure to listen to, like the most beautiful sounds in the world. At the same time, a purple ray of light shot into the sky from the Holy Emperor's palace in the Holy Court. Long Fei, enough. Rumbling filled the air, and boundless multicolored light spread out. Rumbling filled the air, and boundless multicolored light spread out. Long Fei's expression was calm, but he was not moved at all. Hong Qi-Tian came. To the side, Hong Qiuyi's hands that were hugging Long Fei unconsciously tightened, as if his heart was afraid. Long Fei also slightly exerted some strength in his arm, but did not say much. At this moment, silence is better than sound. Long Fei, how dare you steal the fortune of our holy court? You dare to go against me, and even kill without restraint in the holy court. Do you think there's no one left in the holy sea? Hong Qi-Tian's figure appeared. 9 and 5 energies filled the sky. The moment he became angry, the mountains and rivers howled and the sky lost color. Long Fei disapproved. Although such an aura was powerful, it was mostly because this was the holy court. And inside the holy court, the powers of destiny condensed. Hong Qi-Tian was the lord of the holy court, and he relied on the power of the country to boost his karmic luck, which was why he seemed so tyrannical. However, the truth was that his true cultivation was only at the peak of the sun god realm. Although his cultivation was extraordinary, but in front of Long Fei, it was not enough. More than a dozen young gods had died in Long Fei's hands. Therefore, when Long Fei heard Hong Qi-Tian's question, he could only smile instead. As he raised his head, he looked at Hong Qi-Tian. Do you think there's anyone else in your holy court? Hong Qi-Tian, do you really think I won't go to the holy court to look for you? To be honest, I really don't care about the people in the entire holy court. Long Fei said in disdain. Strength was the foundation of everything. In front of absolute strength, all schemes and tricks were like paper tigers, breaking with a flick of a finger. In an instant, Hong Qi-Tian's face became extremely gloomy. He looked towards Long Fei, revealing his killing intent. Long Fei, you're too arrogant. Hong Qi-Tian coldly said. The dragon of destiny let out a roar of rage as it surrounded Hong Qi-Tian. I'm sorry, I was born with such a temper. If I make you unhappy, then I can be at ease. It's because you're unhappy that I feel better. Long Fei said as he pulled Hong Qiuyi to his side. He faced Hong Qi-Tian. At this moment, Hong Qi-Tian's pupils contracted. Autumn leaf, come over. Hong Qi-Tian's voice sank. But Hong Qiuyi wasn't moved at all. Seeing that, Hong Qi-Tian's expression became extremely sinister, and even his breathing became hurried. Father, please stop. Hong Qiuyi's eyes were filled with hesitation as he spoke. She looked at Hong Qi-Tian. Ha ha ha, good, even you have betrayed us. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless. Originally, I only wanted to rob you of your roots of destiny. But right now, all I can do is smelt you all. Only in this way will this emperor be able to obtain complete luck. As Hong Qi-Tian spoke, his eyes burst with madness. And then, the sky rumbled. A surging power erupted from all directions as if an earthquake had occurred. 1 yuan heaven and earth is born, Two yin and yang are fixed. The fate of the three geniuses falls upon us, the four symbols Chenkuan battalion. 6 harmonies and 7 stars, 8 trigrams, 9 palaces and 10 things fusion. Long Fei, you will still have to die in the end. If you fall into this Empress formation, even if your body breaks through the void, you will still die without a doubt even if you surpass the Sun God. Hong Chi Tian said coldly, his eyes filled with pride. Not good. This is the heaven and earth furnace left behind by Matriarch Yi. Father, you are ruthless. For the sake of your land, and your land, for the sake of your empire, you actually want to melt the world. Hong Autumn Leaf's eyes were filled with incomparable shock. If it was said that Hong Chi Tian wanted to deprive her of the roots of karmic luck, she will resist, but she will not resent. It was not anger. But now, Hong Chi Tian was too crazy. For himself, he actually wanted to refine Long Fei with her. Ruthless? Haha, if you're not ruthless, you won't be able to stand stably. The Yang God realm is about to be destroyed. Only by fusing with the destiny of the Yang God realm will this emperor have the chance to transcend. Otherwise, at that time, I'll be like you ants, living and dying in the Sun God realm. This emperor has finally gotten the cultivation I have today. How could I give it up? My good daughter, you are really capable. Originally, you could have avoided death, but now, you actually colluded with Long Fei to commit adultery. Hong Chi Tian said viciously. There was no trace of warmth in his eyes. It was as if he was facing a passerby like an ant or an animal. There wasn't the slightest bit of emotion in him. Hong Chiu Yi's eyes dimmed as he looked at Hong Chi Tian with a strange expression. He kept shaking his head. It was as if he couldn't believe that the person in front of him who wanted to kill him was actually his royal father. It was a complete stranger. Terrifying cruelty. She wanted to say something but hesitated. She wanted to say something more. But he was stopped by Long Fei. There's no point speaking anymore. Your royal father has already gone mad. Ambition has already made him lose himself. Long Fei said. He thought of Hong Yi again. The more he knew, the more certain he was that Hong Yi wanted to use his own hands to purge this world of the Sun God. Otherwise, there was no need to save this kind of world. With that thought, the power on Long Fei's hand quietly condensed. Hong Chiu Yi's face was filled with difficulty, but facing Long Fei's words, she had nothing to say. Hong Chi Tian's actions had already completely disappointed her. What Bloodvein's kinship, in Hong Chi Tian's eyes, was just a tool to be used. As long as he could survive. To further his strength, he could forego anything and become a sacrifice on his path of cultivation. The more he thought about it, the more sadness appeared in Hong Chiu Yi's eyes. At that moment, the world suddenly changed. The whole of the sacred court seemed to have turned into a huge stove. Wave after wave of a fatal aura that caused one's heart to palpitate exploded forth. Long Fei's eyes moved, the war god's saber was already ready to attack. However, at this moment, Hong Chiu stopped him. Long Fei, can you? Hong Yi said. But before he could finish, he was interrupted by Long Fei. Don't worry, I will give him a chance. If he is able to grasp it, he will still be the master of the sacred court, the sacred emperor. Long Fei said. Of course, this possibility was extremely unlikely. Even Hong Yi stopped talking. Long Fei making concessions was already his limit. She couldn't ask for more. If his own royal father really did not know how to repent, then even if he died, he would be bringing this upon himself. Thinking up to here, he let go of Long Fei and stood alone at the side. Long Fei sighed in his heart, and didn't say anything more. With a flip of his hand, he flew into the air. Rumble. And at this time, a billowing and monstrous smelting power erupted forth. A wave of power that could even melt heaven and earth came sweeping over. In an instant, Long Fei felt as if he was in a volcano, and all the cells in his body started to divide infinitely under the brilliance of this power. Pain. An indescribable pain. Long Fei frowned, and used all his strength to defend himself. Ha ha ha, give up. Long Fei, this emperor already knew that your body was very strong, but this power, as long as you ignore the other side, even if you are a god, you would still be refined to death. Hong Chi Tian laughed, as if he had gone mad. Endless temperature rose. Endless temperature rose. Fiery light raged. This fire was not open fire. Rather, it was a type of spiritual flesh that was difficult to catch with the naked eye, but it burned with the flames. In merely an instant, Long Fei felt as if his soul was being torn apart, and was in incomparable pain. The intense pain from his fleshly body and the pulling of his soul caused Long Fei's strength to instantly decrease explosively. What was even more terrifying was that even the war god blade in his hand was melting. Damn, is it that terrifying? Long Fei was startled. This method was too explosive. Was caught off guard. Do I have to use the big hand seal again? Long Fei endured the pain and thought. However, at this time, a mysterious feeling appeared in his heart. Clone. Long Fei was startled, and raised his head to look. He saw a figure descending from the sky with endless lightning above his head. Real face, I'm here. Without the slightest hesitation, with a single step, the avatar descended into the endless furnace. At the same time, the 9 heavens' thunder tribulations also descended. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The world rumbled as if it was the end of the world. Endless bolts of lightning descended from the sky, fusing into the world, causing the power of the furnace to become even more berserk. Soon after, countless nameless flames blended with the tribulation lightning and came like thunder. It went straight for Long Fei's clone. The clone, however, didn't even turn his head and rushed towards Long Fei. Long Fei was startled and stared at him. F***ck, are they bringing thunder tribulation to your father? Avatar, stop right now. Long Shi shouted. At first, when Long Fei saw that his clone had arrived, he had thought that he could rely on this tribulation lightning to disperse the heaven and earth melting furnace. However, the two seemed to share the same source of power. Not only did it not cause even the slightest damage to the furnace. On the contrary, it caused the power of the furnace to become even more violent. At the same time, within the furnace, the power of the lightning tribulation became even stronger. Every single slash contained the power to split the world. Real face, I can't withstand this power. Moreover, I have now reached a critical moment. After the lightning tribulation, I will become a sun god. Now, only by returning to your body can I resist this lightning tribulation. The clone Long Fei said. His eyes did not have any change. That was because, in the end, the clone had only been one of the souls that had been chopped off. That was because, in the end, the clone had only been one of the souls that had been chopped off. Naturally, he could not have his own thoughts. Long Fei went silent. A moment later, Long Fei raised his head, his eyes crazed. All right, let's fuse them together. Long Fei said. Because at that moment, facing this heaven and earth melting furnace, Long Fei's only method was to use the heaven and earth great hand seal. There was no other way. However, the arrival of the clone made Long Fei have another guess. That was to use the chi flow of the world of the sun god to exterminate the furnace. Receiving Long Fei's affirmative answer, the clone smiled. Then, he looked at Hong Chiu Yi as though he was looking at nothing. Woman, I've told you before, this is your man. Don't worry. He is me, and I am also him. In the end, you are still mine. Ha ha ha. The clone laughed and started walking towards Long Fei. Long Fei's eyes were filled with contempt. No wonder his clone was so infamous, being shouted for murder in the entire Yang God realm. Nothing else. This temper of his was real. Tens of thousands of yuan worth of skin, Li Shizhen's skin. Even Long Fei himself felt that this clone was too cocky. No wonder Hong Chiu Yi hated him so much. At this moment, the doppelganger finally approached. In an instant, he turned into a beam of light and entered into Long Fei's body. Instantly. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the fortune of the Yang God realm. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the Child of Destiny title. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the power of Disintegrator. Ding! Function player has obtained the 9 tribulations true strength. Ding! Congratulations player on obtaining the Yang God sword in a single breath's time. The system's voice continuously traveled to Long Fei's ears. All the energy on the clone, in this instant, directly became Long Fei's own. As for the aura on Long Fei's body, it had become even stronger at this moment. He hovered in the air, as if he was at the center of heaven and earth. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Endless amounts of destiny power exploded, gathering from all directions of the entire Yang God realm. They entered Long Fei's body. In the distance, Hong Qi Tian's eyes were bloodshot. Looking at the power of destiny on Long Fei's body, his killing intent soared to the heavens. Mine, it's all mine. Long Fei, I want you dead. Heaven and earth smelting furnace, refine. Hong Qi Tian shouted in anger. Following the appearance of his voice, the entire heaven and earth smelting furnace exploded in an instant. The tribulation thunder and the fire of the lifeless melting furnace once again swept over. Rumble. Boundless destructive power once again landed on Long Fei's body. KCHA. KCHA. Bolts of lightning struck heavily onto Long Fei's body. And Long Fei at this time, simply wasn't moving at all, allowing this power to pierce through his body. Of course, it was not that Long Fei did not want to move. But at this moment, his physical body had already escaped his control. Ding! Congratulations player, body strength has been condensed, body of the great Tao has been awakened, begin to reassemble. This trip will take about an hour. Long Fei complained incessantly in his heart. An hour's time was more than enough for him to be blasted to smithereens by this power. However, to Long Fei's surprise, after the system notification, the power of the heaven and earth melting furnace smashed into his body, causing him to not feel anything at all. Moreover, the more time passed, the stronger his physical body would become. Which is to say, this half an hour of time wasn't enough to stop Long Fei's strength. The power was absorbed directly into his body. This made Long Fei even stronger. Ha ha, there's actually such an operation? Hong Qi Tian, rich courier, poor to eat chicken. I didn't think that the meticulously planned layout would become a source of power for me. Long Fei laughed out loud in his heart. This feeling of surging power could only be described with one word. That would be great. Especially at this moment, even the power of the heaven and earth melting furnace had fused into his body. This kind of good fortune, this kind of opportunity, was completely the tempo to let Long Fei go to the heavens. Of course, no one in the outside world would be able to see all of this. Even Hong Qiu Yi, who was inside the furnace, could not see the changes happening to Long Fei's body. However, in her eyes, she saw that Long Fei had been completely engulfed by the violent energy of heaven and earth, and was in an incomparable state of panic. There were many times when he wanted to rush over without a care for his own safety. In the distance, Hong Qi Tian laughed loudly. In his view, Long Fei was definitely going to die. This kind of power had used up almost all of the power in his sacred court. It was more than enough to even destroy the young god world. He could not believe that a single person's strength could withstand it. Ha ha ha, die, die. As long as you die, this emperor will obtain the root of this unfilial daughter's destiny. At that time, I will be someone who will inherit the destiny of heaven and earth. If my destiny is mine, and the world is mine, who can stop me from transcending? Hong Qi Tian laughed incessantly. At the same time, a voice came from the void. Are you done laughing? Instantly, it was incomparably silent. Instantly, it was incomparably silent. These 5 words directly shattered the chaos in the world. The space that was initially drowned by Hong Qi Tian's laughter instantly turned silent. And at this time, Long Fei's figure directly walked out. Rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Another few bolts of lightning descended. It struck onto Long Fei's body. However, Long Fei didn't even bother to dodge, and just allowed this energy to freely take effect on his body. The following scene made Hong Qi Tian go crazy. He only saw that this power had landed on Long Fei's body. Not a single ripple was produced, but Long Fei had an extremely satisfied expression on his face. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Long Fei, just what method did you use? How could your strength withstand the power of the nature furnace? I don't believe it. Die for me. Hong Qi-tian was still unwilling to give up. With a crazed look in his eyes, he moved his hands. In the blink of an eye, the entire world seemed to change once again. All sorts of strange phenomena began to appear, as if all of the source energy of the sun god world itself were erupting at this moment. And at this moment, Long Fei's gaze changed. He was in a state of complete panic. Autumn leaf. In that moment, Long Fei bellowed, and his body flew out. He had nothing to fear from this kind of power. He was even looking forward to the power becoming even more violent. But Hong Yi couldn't. Therefore, he had to keep Hong Qiuyi under his body. Otherwise, with just Hong Qiuyi alone, he definitely wouldn't be able to block this violent force. Hong Qiuyi's face changed as well. He didn't even have time to react before being overwhelmed by this power. "No!" Long Fei shouted, and his body also instantly charged in. In an instant, the boundless furnace power once again flooded into the furnace. The air seemed as though it was going to explode. The sky must fall, the earth must be covered. Hong Qi-tian laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha, this time, I'll see if you die or not. So what if the furnace exploded? As long as you die, all of my power will be mine." Hong Qi-tian's eyes stared fixedly at the empty space. He couldn't wait. But at this moment, a furious roar came directly from the center of the explosion of the furnace's power. "Hong Qi-tian, I want you dead." He was furious and his killing intent overflowed into the heavens. It was also at this moment that Long Fei's figure instantly broke through the limits of the furnace's power. In the blink of an eye, it descended upon the holy court. And in his arms, he was holding Hong Qiuyi, who was already covered in blood. "Hong Qi-tian, you truly deserve to die." Long Fei seemed to be roaring at him, as he enunciated each word slowly. The blood figure in his embrace caused his heart to feel endless pain. This was his woman. Especially after Long Fei had fused with the memories of his clone, he had gained more recognition towards Hong Qiuyi. Therefore, when he saw Hong Qiuyi, who was heavily injured and had almost died, the anger in Long Fei's heart instantly flared up. He wanted nothing more than to annihilate the world and collapse the world. No, impossible. This is a power left behind by Yi Zhu. You can't break it. You are just a trash from the outside world. How could you possess such strength? I don't believe it. Hong Qi-tian's eyes were filled with shock. There was no longer any spirit in his eyes, only panic. At this moment, he understood. He had lost. The moment Long Fei broke through the furnace, his defeat was already set in stone. "Hong Yi. Even if Hong Yi comes, I will still grind your bones and scatter your ashes," Long Fei said. Overbearing and matchless, he was resolute. No one could hurt his woman. Even if Hong Qi-tian was the biological father of Hong Qiuyi, Long Fei would definitely kill someone like him. "No, you can't kill me. The Yang God realm is about to be destroyed. I am the master of the sacred court, so the moment I die, the destiny of the entire Yang God realm will collapse. At that time, the power of the outside world will descend. When the time comes, everyone will die with me," Hong Qi-tian said. Seemingly grabbing onto the last life-saving straw, his eyes stared straight at Long Fei. But all of this, to Long Fei, what did it matter? For his own woman, Long Fei could turn the entire world upside down and fix his own reflection. In fact, if the destruction of the entire Yang God realm was exchanged for Hong Qiuyi's complete recovery, Long Fei would not even bat an eye. However, it was too late to say anything now. Hong Qiuyi had already been hit by the furnace's power, and his entire body had lost its chance of survival. If it were not for the miraculous power in his body, he would have been dead by now. Therefore, the current Long Fei was unable to contain his anger. Thus, Hong Qi-tian had to die. Ta. Step by step, Long Fei walked over. Killing intent burst out of his eyes. As for Hong Qi-tian, he was finally afraid at this moment. His eyes were filled with panic. Don't come over. Long Fei, don't forget, you still have a brother in my hands. If you dare to attack me, I can guarantee that they will die quite miserably," Hong Qi-tian threatened, his eyes filled with a strong desire. But at this moment, a clear and cold voice appeared out of nowhere. "Hubby, kill him. The black knife and the rest have been rescued by us. Now." And he's still in a coma. Aoya's sword strike rose into the air with dense killing intent. Long Fei's eyes moved slightly. He looked at Aoya, then saw the black knife and the rest supporting Aoya behind her. Killing intent exploded from him. "Hong Chi Tian, you are truly a heavenly Xiao. Even if you want to die, you don't care. Originally, you could have lived. But now, go to hell." Boop. In his rage, Long Fei punched out. In the blink of an eye, the wind swept and the sky shook. It was as if, in response to Long Fei's rage, killing intent was born. Boom. With a single fist, Hong Chi Tian's figure was immediately blown into the air by Long Fei, and fresh blood violently sprayed along the way. More than that. The instant his figure landed on the ground, Long Fei's figure also instantly chased after him. And then, boom, 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 punch after punch. It was as though he was venting his anger as he madly attacked. Under Long Fei's attack, Hong Chi Tian's figure also completely disintegrated, turning into limitless amounts of residue that floated down from the sky. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the Holy Hall's Lord, Hong Chi Tian. You have received 50,000 experience points. Holy Source points, 500,000 points. Striking value, 1 point. Ding! Congratulations to the player who has obtained the Holy Court's Divine Seal. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining Sky Emperor Furnace. The system's voice rang out, extremely berserk. If it was in the past, Long Fei would definitely be extremely excited. But now, even though Hong Chiu-Yi's life and death was unknown, Long Fei was not the least bit excited. However, right at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in midair. It was as if he had opened up the void and traversed across the river of stars, shining through the void of the entire Holy Court. Long Fei's eyes were also instantly attracted to it. Hong Yi. A joyous expression appeared in Long Fei's eyes. If there was anyone in this world who could save Hong Chiu-Yi, then Hong Yi was definitely the most likely person. Brat, stop talking nonsense. I'm asking you, do you want to save him? Hong Yi asked. The one talking rubbish is you. Of course I have to save my woman, Long Fei said. Hearing this reply, Hong Yi smiled and said in a low voice, "It's very easy to save her. Save her, then go sleep with her." Long Fei was startled. Could there be such a good thing? Long Fei was startled. Could there be such a good thing? And it was even Hong Yi who pushed it to him? In that moment, Long Fei looked at Hong Yi with doubt. Brat, don't think too much. Right now, your clone has fused with most of the Yang God Realm's destiny. And this girl has the root of karmic luck in her body. Only when all of you fuse together like water and milk can you reunite your Yang energy and luck. Hong Yi said. The doubt in Long Fei's eyes was also relieved in an instant. From Hong Yi's words, he was able to deduce the key to saving Hong Chiu-Yi. That was luck. With a thought, Long Fei did not hesitate at all. All of you, wait here. I'll go treat Autumn Leaf first, Long Fei said. Then, with his arms around Hong Chiu-Yi, Long Fei took a step forward and directly entered the sacred hall. Shortly after, his spiritual sea moved. Sky Spill Beast, arrange for space. Long Fei immediately awakened the Sky Evolution Beast and set up a maze array, blocking all senses. For a time, the spring sun shone brightly. With an extremely heavy heart, Long Fei began to explore the mysteries of life. The moment their bodies completely merged, spirit and body as one, Long Fei only felt that his spiritual sense instantly merged with Hong Chiu-Yi's. Following that, an endless amount of destiny from the Yang God realm gathered on Hong Chiu-Yi's body. It then formed a cycle. This kind of luck was like yin and yang intersecting as they moved back and forth from their bodies. Instantly, Long Fei's senses immediately reached their peak. At this moment, Hong Yi opened his eyes. She blushed all over as she watched Long Fei move around on her. Long Fei, Hong Yi whispered. After which, the 9 tails struck out. It instantly enveloped Long Fei. Beneath the 9 tails was Meng Lang. Of course, such a scenario was not enough to be described by anyone. An hour later, the rain stopped. Long Fei embraced Hong Qiuyi and walked out together with her. At this moment, Hong Yi was even more charming. Moreover, his aura was extremely powerful, and a tyrannical aura circulated around his body. It was precisely the power he obtained after regaining the young god realm's destiny. Long Fei was the same. It could be said that the fate of the two of them was now shared. Boss. Li Yuanba and the rest came over. Long Fei's expression also darkened, because at this moment, Black Knife and the rest were still unconscious. Long Fei, I can save them. Hong Yi said. You can? Long Fei said in surprise. The injuries on their bodies were extremely strange, and they were a method that was used on the soul. Even he felt that it was tricky. This was because this kind of injury was not something that could be simply cured with pills. That's right. Don't forget, I've regained my destiny. Hong Yi smiled mysteriously. Maundy hand. As he moved, he drew air currents from the void above him. The light of destiny descended from the sky, instantly enveloping Black Knife and the rest. Rumble. In an instant, the light of Qi washed over the Black Knife's body again and again. Long Fei's eyes lit up. An indescribable feeling grew in his heart. At this moment, he actually felt that the auras of the Black Knife and the rest were growing stronger. His life force also gradually recovered. Boom. The light of destiny shook and then suddenly dissipated. Black Knife and the rest recovered as well. Boss. In an instant, all of them were extremely excited as they looked at Long Fei. Long Fei was excited too. Brothers, charge, and fight against heaven and earth. This was a style they had never changed. And now, after the baptism of the young god realm's destiny, the bodies of the spectators all grew even stronger. Right. There are still a few demonic gods here that have the power to match yours. After refinement, you will become a sun god with a single step. Long Fei said, and distributed the remaining power to the Black Knife, Arhat, and the others. The Black Knife looked solemn, and saw the dark energy of the heavens at first glance. Arhat directly locked onto the Golden Spider King. In an instant, all the forces had been divided up. Long Fei, their bodies have just been baptized by the young god realm's destiny. It won't take too long to refine them now. Hong Yi said. The Black Knife and the rest looked towards Hong Qiuyi and spoke at the same time, eldest sister-in-law. Hong Yi's face turned red, but he still nodded his head. As a result, Hong Yi could be considered to have completely merged with them. Aoya, Yu Ru, Liu Luoshi, and the others also surrounded Long Fei. Beautiful beyond compare. If a few people stood together, it would be a beautiful scenery that would instantly kill off the existence of an entire world. Long Fei was elated in his heart. His only regret was that the little guy couldn't find him now. Right, I felt it just now. The power outside the young god realm is already quickly approaching. It won't be long before it descends upon the young god realm. After he relaxed his mind, Long Fei muttered to himself. Now, the young god realm's outcome had already been decided. Since even Hong Chi Tian had exploded, the entire young god realm was basically already under their control. As for the Meng Shenji who was hiding in the darkness, Long Fei believed that Hong Yi would not just let him do as he pleased. Yes, I feel it too. The destiny of the entire young god realm was already shrinking rapidly. I'm afraid that the day the god of boundary is born in the sun god realm will be the day the power of the outside world descends. Hong Qiuye also said. Long Fei was startled. He suddenly looked towards Hong Qiuyi with doubt in his eyes and asked, God of boundary? Don't the young god realm have god of boundary? Are you talking about the previous generation's god of boundary? Zhongling Xiu? Hong Qiuyi was also startled, somewhat surprised by how Long Fei knew. Long Fei laughed gently and immediately summoned his god's pavilion, releasing Zhong Shenxiu from within. Master, As soon as Zhong Lingxiu landed on the ground, she immediately kneeled at Long Fei's feet. He was incomparably pious. He hated himself for not giving his knees to Long Fei, as if he was willing to give up everything to you. It was also at this time that the shocked expression on Hong Qiuyi's face became even more indescribable. God of Boundary? Why is he still alive? Hong Qiuye said in shock, and the power of karmic luck within his body suddenly rose. Zhong Lingxiu was also stunned for a moment before she exclaimed, "Ancestral blood vein? The root of destiny? I. Zhong Shenxiu was extremely excited, and then he began to wail. "I've been waiting for this day for so long. You, the holy courtyard, have caused Laozi so much suffering." Zhong Shenxiu's face was filled with grief and anguish. However, at this moment, he suddenly became alert. All the complaints on his face suddenly turned into horror. Especially when he saw that everyone around him was looking at him with a face full of amusement, his expression turned bitter. Suddenly, his gaze turned towards Long Fei. "Master. This. Could it be the Empress again?" Long Fei glanced at him snappily. "What do you think?" In an instant, Zhong Lingxiu's face twisted as if she had just eaten a coptis. The pain was indescribable. Finally, he turned around and looked at Hong Qiuyi. "Mistress, I've finally waited for you. This day will eventually come. I can finally give you the location of my God of Boundary. I've waited far too long for this day." Zhong Shenxiu had a pious expression on his face, which was coupled with the fact that he was telling the truth. Zhong Shenxiu had a pious expression on his face, which was coupled with the fact that he was telling the truth. Even Long Fei had to say something. F***CK. Heavenly Xiu. Xiu'er, it's really you. Long Fei was powerless to retort in his heart. But in Long Fei's heart, how could he have the mind to watch his performance? Cut the crap, just tell me what happened. Only then did Zhong Shenxiu feel at ease. It was as if he had been granted amnesty. Looking at Long Fei, his expression became heavy. "Master, you already know that my identity as a God of Boundary is too useless. It's just a setup between a few inheritances and the Holy Mansion, and a cannon fodder that sent me away. It's all for the sake of seeing and hearing, to let the ancient world's power be satisfied without attacking, and to allow the young God realm more time. Actually, what I'm fighting for is the time for the birth of a new child of destiny." As Zhong Lingxiu spoke, she looked towards Hong Qiuye. He continued, "But, the name of the God of Boundary is actually the young God realm's choice. The Sun God world's destiny has already been formed on the matriarch's body. However, you still need the heavens and earth to live up to your reputation before you can truly become a God of Boundary," Zhong Lingxiu said. Hearing that, Long Fei already understood. The so-called true name mentioned by Zhong Lingxiu must be something that would require him to explain it to her personally. Just like the Zen blessing on earth, the crown was bestowed by the heavens. With that thought, Long Fei looked at Hong Qiuyi. At this time, it was up to Hong Qiuye to make the decision. After all, by becoming the God of Boundary, one would be able to confront the danger of the young God realm. As a result, Long Fei was also somewhat worried in his heart. And at this time, Hong Qiuye also fell into silence. She was well aware of the dangers of the young God realm. She was even more clear that as long as she accepted the position of God of Boundary, she would be closely connected to it. As for the danger of the young God realm, it was one side. More importantly, if she were to become a God of Boundary, she would not be able to leave the young God realm for a short period of time. Long Fei, on the other hand, came from the outside world. What she was truly worried about was not wanting to separate from Long Fei. For a time, Hong Qiuye was in a state of hesitation. However, at this time, Hong Yi appeared in the air once again. His hands moved, and a streak of profound light was pulled out from Zhong Shenxiu's body. "There's no need to think further. With my name, I bestow upon Hong Qiuyi the God of Boundary. Yang Qi, luck, fusion." Hong Yi's voice spread throughout the world. In an instant, the karmic luck of the Endless Tower rose directly, enveloping the sacred court. And on Hong Yi's body, it was as if he had turned into a container. She, who had already inherited the chi of heaven and earth, was lifted up by the monstrous chi of chi. She floated in the air. Long Fei muttered to himself, and did not stop him. After Hong Yi woke up, Long Fei had already returned all of his chi and luck. This power was useless to him. To him, the sun god world was only a transfer point in knowledge, and it wouldn't be long before he would be able to leave. The divine space was his true battlefield. Therefore, Long Fei left none of this power and returned it to Hong Chiu-yi. At this time, seeing that Hong Chiu-yi had already fused with the destiny of the young god realm, his heart calmed down. To Hong Chiu-yi, this was an opportunity. Ruumbel. The boundless power of karmic luck continued to converge, and the aura emanating from Hong Chiu-yi's body continued to grow stronger. Swish. At this moment, amidst the vast void, a resplendent golden bridge descended. It was like a ladder leading to the heavens that led to the river of stars. Long Fei was startled. The other side of the bridge. Long Fei said in a serious tone. The other side of the bridge extended to the other side. Within the world of the sun god, when Cheng Yang became god, there would also be a bridge that connected him to the other side. However, it was an illusory bridge. And at this time, Hong Chiu-yi's bridge could be seen with the naked eye. It was incomparably real. It was obvious that this was not the sun god bridge. At this time, Hong Chiu-yi's figure also stepped onto the other side of the bridge and began to move forward. 1 step, 2 steps. The whole process went on smoothly without any hindrances. In the blink of an eye, Hong Chiu-yi's figure had already reached the other end of the bridge. He had only taken a few steps, but he had already crossed the river. Long Fei also let out a sigh of relief. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. At first, under the calm surface of the other side of the bridge, an extremely powerful force suddenly appeared. Incomparable evil. It was as if the evil powers of the entire world had been gathered and was about to corrode the other side of the bridge. In the blink of an eye, the entire other side of the bridge became dark and gloomy, constantly swaying. Meng Shenji, you're courting death. Hong Yi's voice sounded again from the void. Infuriated. Ha ha ha, Hong Yi, you miscalculated in the end. What has come to this place is only your will. What's the use of having your real body on the other side? I've said before, in this era, only I can get past the other side. Ha ha ha, the other side of the bridge, collapse for me. Meng Shenji was full of laughter. In that instant, Hong Chiu-yi's figure was enveloped by an endless amount of evil energy. The void turned blood-red. Greedy ghost faces appeared one after another, opening their bloody mouths and beginning to devour Hong and Autumn Leaf's karmic power. Below, Long Fei's eyes instantly burned with anger. In an instant. At this moment, his physical strength seemed to have gone out of control as it began to move on its own. One by one, the cells began to split and reform, and each of the acupoints began to condense their power. Without hesitation, Long Fei leaped up and flew across the sky. In just a moment of absent-mindedness, he had fused with the endless evil energy and arrived at Hong Chiu-yi's side, hugging him in his arms. Long Fei. Me. Hong Chiu-yi said, a trace of panic flashing across his face. Her aura was extremely unstable, and her entire person seemed to be dispirited and dispirited. As the power of destiny dissipated, it was already destined that she would fail to cross the other side. But halfway through her words, she was stopped by Long Fei. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. As long as I am here, I will definitely let you succeed. Long Fei said firmly. However, just as his voice fell, Meng Shenji's voice sounded again, definitely succeed. Haha, I can see that you are just dreaming. Long Fei, you are too arrogant. At this point, even the young god realm's luck has been devoured by me. Do you think you still have the qualifications to say the word success? Ha ha ha, as matters stand, I have nothing to worry about anymore. As long as you devour the young god realm's destiny, then refine your son's power of nether. I will transcend the void, transforming the world into a world of darkness and darkness. I shall be the sole ruler. No one can stop me, ha ha ha. At the center of evil, Meng Shenji was laughing maniacally. Long Fei's eyes congealed, and his killing intent instantly condensed to a high point. Old bastard, You really are a thief even if you are old and yet you don't die. However, in this world, there is nothing that I, Long Fei, am not capable of. If you want to devour yang energy and luck, then let's see who can devour who. The fate of the entire sky, in the name of I, Long Fei, shall be seize. Long Fei roared out, and instantly, a gigantic whirlpool formed around him. The powers of karmic luck began to converge from the void. They had returned into Long Fei's body. This scene shook the heavens. This scene shook the heavens. Even in the air, Hong Yi's thought at this moment was stunned. He never thought that Long Fei actually had this kind of power, to be able to devour karmic luck. Ha ha ha, good job, kid. It is not in vain that I bet all of my juniors on you. He didn't let me down after all. Hong Yi laughed loudly. Long Fei acted as if she did not hear it, and devoured with all her heart. After devouring it, he would pass it down to the Hong Chiu-Yi in his arms. All of a sudden, Hong Chiu-Yi's body melted into Long Fei's embrace, and the gaze in which he looked at Long Fei with, was filled with infatuation. And at this time, the most shocked person was none other than Meng Shenji. Devour karmic luck? Impossible. For the sake of the luck of this era, I have refined the evil power of the previous era. How could you possibly take me away? I don't believe it. Meng Shenji screamed. He couldn't believe it. However, his current words, to Long Fei, were just a joke. The more crazily he shouted, the more Long Fei was pleased with himself. Seize my woman's chance. Plotting against my son? You want to compete with your father? Meng Shenji, I've given you face, haven't I? Long Fei said coldly, and with every word she said, the speed at which she devoured energy became even faster. In the blink of an eye, the energy that had been devoured by Meng Shenji had been recaptured by Long Fei and channeled into Hong Chiu-Yi's body. How could you be so damn awesome? You've been scheming for so long, why haven't you calculated it? Is this daddy the current lucky child of the young god realm? You want to compete with Laozi? Are you worthy? Long Fei said fiercely, her eyes filled with endless ridicule. If Long Fei wanted to, the entire young god realm's destiny would be him. There was nothing else, because he was the son of destiny decided by the system. The system is the way of the king, it was the same for any other world. In front of the power of the system, they had to stand aside. As for Meng Shenji, he was even more berserk. The moment Long Fei acted, she immediately shattered his eternal hope. How could he not feel hatred? No. No, Long Fei. That's mine. Mine. Meng Shenji seemed to be screaming, hysterically falling into a state of insanity. Yours. Meng Shenji, why don't you take a look? Are you even worthy? This time, it's your doppelganger who did it, right? Don't worry, your father won't let you off even if it's just a clone. Moreover, when your true body arrives, it will be the end of you. Long Fei said coldly. Begging? Begging for mercy? Non-existent. Even if the little fellow was still in Meng Shenji's hands, Long Fei would absolutely not have any scruples. After all, he believed Hong Yi's words. Therefore, Long Fei was not worried at all about the little guy's safety. Instantly, Long Fei made her move. With a flip of his hand, a furnace appeared in Long Fei's hand. 10 cubes of the cosmic melting furnace, refine it for me, Long Fei bellowed, and then the heaven and earth shook. A huge and formless energy emitted from Long Fei's hand. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The void began to rumble. In front of the power of the heaven and earth furnace, even space trembled. And the evil power that belonged to Meng Shenji began to evaporate in an instant. It was just a simple contact, and yet it was immediately refined. Raw. No. I'm going to tear you apart. Meng Shenji was struggling in pain, but everything was already decided. It was completely useless. Long Fei's strength could no longer be compared to how it was in the past. Now, if he wanted to kill Meng Shenji, he didn't need to rely on the mortal life palm. The same could be said about the heaven and earth smelting furnace. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Meng Shenji's clone. You have received 40,000 experience points 40,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! Congratulations player on obtaining evil devouring power. The system be prepared. This also meant that Meng Shenji had been completely refined and no longer existed. Ha ha ha, well done. Kid, I didn't expect you to have this kind of power. Hong Yi's will of the body said. Humph. Long Fei immediately let out a cold snort, and wasn't in a good mood. He turned around and looked at Hong Chiu Yi. Come, your husband will take you to the other side. Long Fei said softly. Hong Chiu Yi was already obsessed with it. In her eyes, the moment Long Fei moved to protect him, she would not refuse no matter what Long Fei said. Even if it was Long Fei who wanted him to give up on the god of boundary. Since she no longer cared about the life and death of the entire young god realm, she would not hesitate in the slightest. It was only because he was Long Fei. In an instant, Hong Chiu Yi leaned on Long Fei's shoulder and followed Long Fei towards the other side of the lake. Soon, they could see the end of the bridge. 1 step across, that was the other side. As for Long Fei, she had already seen Hong Yi who was waiting on the other side. He silently raised his middle finger. Nothing else. Let's go, we'll cross this step. Husband and you will travel the same distance. Long Fei said with a smile. Hong Yi nodded heavily. However, just as the two of them took a step forward, the entire other side of the bridge began to collapse. It was as if he didn't want them to pass by. Not good, Long Fei, the ancient world's power has been released. Suddenly, Hong Yi shouted from the other side. Long Fei's footsteps paused, and instinctively carried Hong Chiu Yi in his arms. And then, his eyes trembled as he stared into the void, towards the vast expanse of space and time beyond. Shua shua shua, streams of destructive power shot out from the endless space and time around them. The appearance of this power caused the world of the sun god to be completely shut down. It was as if he had sensed an instinctive fear. Since the world had closed itself off, the bridge over the river could no longer continue to exist. Ancient world? Could it be you? Emperor Xian? Long Fei thought, her gaze becoming increasingly cold. On the other side, Hong Yi's expression was also extremely ugly, as if he had also missed a step. He never expected that this kind of fork would appear at such a time. Long Fei, forget it. Seems like he did not have such luck after all. However, even if you ignore the other side, there is still a chance. We can only meet again after this crisis is resolved. Hong Yi's voice sounded. However, Long Fei completely ignored him. He turned around to take a look and said, forget it. Impossible. If my woman wants to cross the river, no one can stop her. If the other side of the bridge doesn't pass, then I will crush it. If the heaven and earth doesn't bend, then your father will destroy it. If he doesn't move in the air, then I will annihilate him. If you don't move beyond the other side, I'll move. Long Fei spoke word by word with a sinister look on her face. Incomparable madness. Hong Yi's expression became serious as he looked at Hong Yi, his eyes filled with fighting spirit. All right. What a great beyond the river. Long Fei, I will be waiting for you on the other side of the lake. I can even help you fight against the ancient world once. Hong Yi said. After hearing this, the craziness in Long Fei's eyes became even more berserk. Turn around and gather all the energy in your body in an instant. Great hand seal of the mortal life, form it. The power of life, the faith of all. The power of life, the faith of all. The appearance of the big hand seal caused a sensation on the other side of the river. The other side of the bridge suddenly began to move, causing the entire space to be filled with the noise of battle. Amidst the rumbling sounds, an endless oppressive force shot out from the other side, seemingly wanting to suppress Long Fei and Hong Chiu Yi. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The pressure was unparalleled, and even space itself began to distort. Even Long Fei found it hard to resist at this time. In that instant, his body was crushed and bent. However, Long Fei's eyes were still filled with unswerving determination, and he firmly held onto Hong Chiu-yi's body. "The hand of life, help me to enter the other side," Long Fei shouted. Instantly, the faith of the countless living beings gathered on the hand. Streams of invisible power gathered in the air and eventually gathered together. In the end, a pair of large sparkling hands extended across the void, connecting towards the boundless void. The two of them supported Long Fei and Hong Chiu-yi's bodies. Rumble. Rumble. At the same time, a violent force swept through from the void. The boundless energy of the world exploded forth. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and a violent wind blew. This was the power of the heaven and earth, as well as the power of nature. It was as if he wanted to destroy this big hand and stop Long Fei. But at this moment, Long Fei's figure was like a rocket. A flash. He shattered the void. Then, he took a step forward, appearing in the starry sky off to the side. At this moment, Hong Yi suddenly appeared. This time, the real one had also appeared. It was not an illusory body. "Fellow Daoist, you truly are incredible." Hong Yi cupped his hands and said. If it was before, he would definitely not have dared to imagine that Long Fei's strength could make it to the other side. However, the current Long Fei was no longer the same as before. Even though there was still a gap, he had crossed the other side. This Dao friend had already expressed his attitude. "Hong Yi, the scenery on the other side isn't that great either," Long Fei said indifferently. He felt incomparably carefree in his heart. Fighting the heavens. Fighting the earth. Fighting with others. It was incredibly enjoyable. His entire life, he had been constantly fighting and killing. Now that he had suppressed the power of the other shore and landed on the other side, Long Fei felt extremely comfortable in his heart. At the same time, Hong Autumn Leaf's aura also began to change. Under the effect of the power of the other shore, it began to sublimate. As for Long Fei, he was the same as well. The strength of his physical body began to change abruptly. Ding! Congratulations player on reaching the other side of the river. Physical transformation. Vacuum particle, transform however you want. Description: the body is invincible and can be upgraded. At the current level, the other side is void, the other side is void, the other side is limitless, the other side is the master of the era. The system prompted. Long Fei's eyes flashed. This was a qualitative breakthrough. Haha, F***ck. There's no need to split the time between them anymore. Before the evolution of the void on the other side of the sea, I could kill the Sun God. And the Sun God is already comparable to the peak of the super great complete realm of ancient world. That is to say, with my current strength, I'm at the super perfection stage. I'll have to rest for a few minutes. Long Fei thought, and looked. He looked out into the endless space and time. A faintly discernible ball of energy was approaching him at an unimaginable speed. The power of the ancient world. Come. It doesn't matter if you are the masters of primal chaos or Xian nationality. Your father is waiting for you here. Long Fei's eyes were blazing like a burning flame. Of course, it was a type of fighting spirit that erupted. No matter which power of the ancient world arrived. In front of Long Fei, there was only one word. That was killing. At this time, Hong Yi also approached. Congratulations, the strength of your body has now reached the other side. If you want to protect the young god realm, then you have an additional sliver of hope. Hong Yi said. He had transcended the other side of the lake countless of times, so it was natural that he could tell the changes in Long Fei with a single glance. The strength of the ancient world may not be as terrifying as you think. Moreover, with your strength, what is there to be afraid of? Long Fei asked. He was slightly disdainful. Right now, he only desired to fight. Especially now that his strength had broken through, it made Long Fei's heart surge with limitless energy. I can't wait to return to the ancient world right now. As such, he felt disdain towards Hong Yi's conservative attitude. But, Hong Yi. He shook his head. Long Fei, you should know that every single world has its own set of rules. Haven't you noticed that after you arrived in the world of the Sun God, the peak of this world is nothing but a piece of cake in front of you? Hong Yi asked with a grim expression. Long Fei was also stunned. Before this, he felt that this world was terrifyingly weak. Other than Meng Shenji, he was the only one who could do anything. A punch exploded. There were no obstructions. You mean, ancient world's power is suppressing the young god world? Long Fei said. It's not suppression. Hong Yi shook his head. You were an accident. I had long since seen your clone coming from the other side of the river of love. Everything that had happened to you had long surpassed the trajectory of the young god realm. Therefore, even I am unable to see through you. As for the impending arrival of ancient world's power, it's also because of the influence of the foreign power. It was this power that caused the young god realm to face such a crisis. Because the person in front of us is not an ancient world, but a foreign force. As he spoke, Hong Yi's expression became more and more solemn. Then, he looked at Long Fei and said, You should be clear that the war for the god of boundary is about to begin. It just so happens to be a coincidence that my sun god realm is the key amongst them. Hong Yi said. Long Fei's heart was also startled. The war for the god of boundary. This was a central point that surrounded him in the unknown. He had never imagined that the key to the war for supremacy would be the sun god world. What you mean is, once the power of the ancient world attacks, the war for the god of boundary will begin? Long Fei asked. His heart was filled with anticipation. Yes, that's right. The strongest person in the ancient world had tyrannical power. Even I cannot see through them. Moreover, with the help of the power of other realms, the sun god world has been completely suppressed. And now is the critical time. Now, your woman has not become a god of boundary. Once he becomes a god of boundary, it would mean that the young god realm has advanced further, surpassing its original level. At that time, the battle for supremacy in the god of boundary would also completely begin. Hong Yi said. Long Fei's heart sank a little. The whole thing was a bit confusing. Hong Yi was very secretive again. However, Long Fei understood. Now, the crux of the matter lay with Hong Chuye. As long as Hong Autumn Leaf becomes the god of boundary, at that time, the god of boundary contest would finally begin. With that thought, Long Fei looked at Hong Chuye. Hong Yi was in a mysterious state. His body was surrounded by countless halos of light. Within the halo of light, an indescribable power was constantly modifying Hong and Autumn Leaf. The process was very slow, but one could see with the naked eye that Hong Chuye's aura was constantly growing stronger. It was possible to foresee that when she regained consciousness, she would definitely become a sun god. On the other side, the heavens were in his eyes. On the other side, the heavens were in his eyes. Long Fei's gaze gradually grew heavy. The 4 words alien powers were too heavy. Even Long Batian was suppressed by this power back then. Is it really possible for me to do the same? Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and thought in his heart. But in the next moment, a vicious aura appeared again from Long Fei's body, heavily crushing this worry. F***CK, since when did I cower? When I was still in the Nantian region, I already had the courage to face the overgods. I didn't even cower when facing the oppression of the various divine planes. Now that we have reached the divine space, why should we be afraid? Impossible. Long Fei made up his mind and extinguished all his worries. Rather than being carefree and unconcerned, it was better to add some tricks. Thinking of this, Long Fei looked at Hong Yi. Hong Yi, let's not talk too much nonsense. I want to forge the release wheel. Long Fei looked at Hong Yi and went straight to the point. Hong Yi was stunned for a moment, but then the corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. Wheel of Liberation? Very good. It's a real killing tool. However, I cannot help you with this matter. Hong Yi said. Why? Didn't you forge it yourself before? Long Fei did not understand. Hong Yi shook his head. Yes, you're right. I once forged my own great Wheel of Liberation. However, the Wheel of Liberation varies from person to person. The only thing I want to do is to transcend the other shore. It can be said that my Wheel of Liberation transcends the other shore. It is my foundation in the world of the sun god, my transcendent weapon. But you are different. You have already ascended to the other side. If you want to forge the wheel of liberation, it will be even more difficult. Hong Yi said. As he spoke, his eyes lit up. Extremely sharp. However, I do know of one that might be able to give you even more power and allow you to forge the strongest killing weapon in the world. One of a kind. Even if it's a battle for supremacy in the God of Boundary, one can definitely shine. Suddenly, Hong Yi changed the topic and said. Long Fei's gaze instantly met his gaze as well. Where? Long Fei asked. Right now, the most important thing was to increase his strength. As long as possible, Long Fei would never give up. Even if it was a narrow escape, Long Fei would definitely give it a try. The most important place on the other side is the place of life and death. Hong Yi said. With that, Hong Yi turned this point into a ball of light and entered Long Fei's sea of consciousness. And at this moment, Long Fei's aura became even more distant. His breathing became rapid. Damn, Hong Yi, are you sure you're not sending me to die? This place is so terrifying, it must be a joke. Long Fei said helplessly. What Hong Yi showed him just now was a dead end. At their level, where wouldn't they go? Where can't I go? Therefore, a place that even Long Fei would think was a dead end was definitely a place that contained great terror. It wasn't that he had a narrow escape from death, but that he had a narrow escape from death. Look at me. Is this a joke? If it wasn't for the fact that I already possess the power of the other shore, I wouldn't have been able to resist the urge to take a walk. At the worst, it would just be a battle. As long as I don't die, I will die. You're not willing to let me leave this opportunity to you? Hong Yi said snappily. However, Long Fei became silent. Honestly speaking, just from the scene that appeared with Hong Yi, Long Fei already couldn't wait to go. That kind of power, that kind of aura, made the current Long Fei's heart surge with emotions. He yearned for it. The more dangerous it was, the more it meant that there was something Long Fei wanted. All right, let's do it. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes darkened as he said directly. He had suffered. Tired. He had never been scared before. This was Long Fei. No amount of strength was enough to make Long Fei lower his head. Heh, is that right? Don't worry, I will take good care of your wife and children for you. Before you return, no one will be able to harm a single hair on your head. Hong Yi said. Long Fei nodded. With Hong Yi's words, that was enough. But then again, Long Fei felt that Hong Yi's words were a little ambiguous. Just as he was about to open his mouth to curse, he realized that Hong Yi had already disappeared. Long Fei, you can go without worry. Ha ha ha. Hong Yi's voice came from the other side of the river, but his figure was nowhere to be seen. F***ck, wait for Lousy to come back. I'll suppress you first. Long Fei thought. Immediately after, she gave Hong Chiu-yi a deep look, and Long Fei's gaze became firmer. Then he turned around and flew straight to a square deep in the other side of the river. He was extremely determined. At this time, ancient world. Boundless chaos wrapped around the divine space. Standing above the divine space, they formed their own world. Countless ancient families of the divine space, Ju family, Jiu family, Lin family, and so on, had all been moved. And this place was known as the upper realm of the primal chaos. Ha ha ha, we can finally escape the control of the Emperor Xian. All of this is given to us by the Lord of Primal Chaos. The Lord of the Primal Chaos is the true ruler of all time. What Emperor Xian, what number one ancient world, they are all bragging. Only the master of the primordial chaos is truly invincible. One voice after another sounded out within a palace as laughter and laughter filled the air. And this palace was called Primal Chaos Palace. At the highest point of the Primal Chaos Palace, the figure of the Lord of all Fiends was standing there. He was supreme and unparalleled. Even if he stood there calmly, it would be enough to attract everyone's attention. They would not dare to even utter a single word. As for the Lord of Chaos, a smile was on his face as well. With primal chaos in hand, the attitude of the world was vividly displayed. All right, I have felt your piety. Don't worry, as long as you follow me, any Emperor Xian, any Long Batian, any alien powerhouse, will all have to prostrate at my feet. But now, what about the information I want you to find out? Suddenly, the Lord of all Fiends' aura changed. He became incomparably imposing as he asked this question. My lord, the Xians has been moving a little too frequently recently, as if attacking another world. We still have some information on why he is attacking us. A member of the Lin family said with a restrained expression, afraid that the Lord of Chaos would blame them. Against another world? I'm afraid that in this world, there will be more people who have grown up, causing fear in the outer space powerhouse. The Lord of all Fiends said calmly. All of you, take your people and head there as well. However, he had a feeling that what the Emperor Xian was targeting was going to affect the changes in the situation. Furthermore, Long Fei might be among them. As the Lord of Chaos spoke, his killing intent exploded forth. Especially when he said the two words Long Fei, his words got even heavier. Anyone could hear the boundless killing intent contained within it. Don't worry, my lord. As long as it isn't Emperor Xian who is making a move, the people from Xian's are nothing to worry about. With our clan's experts and the 5 emperors' descendants here, none of this will be a problem. The Jiyu family general said. The Jiyu family had a name left through battle. Now that they heard that the Lord of Primordial Chaos had ordered them to attack the outside world. Naturally, he thought it was a good opportunity to build his career and wanted to show off his skills. Yes. Millimeter, the Lord of all Fiends nodded. The scene changed. At the center of the endless river of stars, Long Fei's figure stopped outside a black hole. *CK My Power, you're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,